owner who had a last name fans despised. Hiring a coach that the experts thought was crazy.
But I got a plan, I swear to you.
Who traded for a QB that was said to be washed up. They said the Detroit Lions would never amount to anything, that it would always be the same old Lions. But this team, our team, has a new identity, defined and expressed by the crazy head coach.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes, I will beat your ass.
Led by the QB that nobody thought was good. Motor City Mania is in full swing and ready to start. So join the show and be prepared for kneecap biting, because Motor City Mania starts right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the live stream edition of Motor City Mania. I've got with me all the boys in tonight after this extremely stressful, extremely crazy win that we got against the Chargers. I've got Chicken Nugget King. I've got Chris. I've got DC8091. I got Chemical 247. And as always, I got Smoking Jeremy B. How you boys all doing today?
Fantastic. Wow. And I want to say salute to every single veteran in the chat and anyone who was on the panel that has been a veteran or is currently serving.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because I know, Jeremy, you're a veteran. I know I'm currently serving, as most people are aware of. I don't know if there's anyone else that are in the panel that are.
My dad, who's a vet.
Hey, my mom actually was in the military, so thank you, Mom, for your service.
Absolutely, and again,
and it was
her
birthday. It was her birthday this past week, so guys, if you may, wish her happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
Belated.
Oh, my grandfather did D-Day and the Bulge. So.
Wow, damn, that's something right there. D-Day and the Bulge. I'm sure someone's got a bulge in their pants right now after winning.
Only a half chub. Only a half chub.
I know. I'm going to say
half
this
the
right
team
now.
Showed up. The other half was still on the plane.
That was like
Absolutely.
an overpriced hooker.
So I'm going to say this right now because Jeremy asked this, and I was going to let him have it. Jeremy wanted to say something from his article that he wrote for the South Florida Tribune. So, Jeremy, take it away.
I said no matter how the team played, the key was staying under 10 penalties. Because every team that has beat the Chargers has maintained discipline and committed less than 10 penalties. We had 4.
Yep.
That's a win, boys.
4 penalties for 46 yards. That was it. But win is a win. Wasn't necessarily the way we wanted to win, but hey, the fact of the matter is we're 7-2, and hey, you know what I got to say? We're kind of going to get a little ahead of ourselves towards the end of the show. You want to know who we're playing next? We're playing the motherfucking Chicago Bears at home next week, so we should fucking stomp ass.
Hell yeah.
Now that's a chubby.
Yeah,
That's a dub.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, but I agree with you. So, as always, to those that are joining the show, you guys should know the format by now, but if not, if you guys have comments, we'll get to them as much as we can. We're going to have content that we're going to talk about with everybody in the panel. So right now we're going to go to some of these comments and see what you all got to say before we kind of get rolling here. So, John Lee, our first comment says, please don't blame AG. The players just keep missing tackles and dumb penalties. Okay. Mm-hmm. He then says, but you called it a straight QB battle. LDV Tennis says Goff was excellent. Bobo Yoop says AG needs to be fired now. Warford 4000 BC says yes. He then follows up. He says, for real about AG, we won this, but I don't know if there was any good reason for the game to turn into a shootout.
No, there wasn't.
Bobo Yoop then says, sign Sue, less than $1 million, well worth a 15 or a fine for him to end a few of these guys. I watched Dobbs today. He's going to give us problems. I watched Dallas today. We playing Dallas nasty. Bobo Yoop then says, I know who he's referring to. He's talking about Onwuzurike. He's talking about Aquara, and he's talking about Charles Harris all need to go with different acronyms to describe them. Ron T. 333 says, this defense stinks like heinous anus.
You don't have to put my comment up. I basically said it.
Yeah, I know. LDV Tennis then highlights all the quarterbacks that have done very well against the Chargers. Kirk Cousins, 32 for 50, 367 with a 97.7 passer rating. Dak, 21 of 30, 272, 109 rating. Tua 28 of 45, 466, 110 rating. Mahomes 32 of 42, 424, 129.5 rating. And Jared Goff 23 of 33, 333 yards for a 122.4 passer rating.
Question though, how many of those had two guys who ran for over 100 yards and 175 in the first quarter or in the first half?
I would be willing to bet none of them.
None of them did. That's what kind of makes Goff not hold up to those stats. We were killing them on the run.
Oh,
at least in the first half, we were.
Yeah,
we went away from it in the second half because they started catching us, and we had to pass to stay ahead.
Yeah, they were dropping 6 in the box.
Yep. Peter Jabatak says Goff was clutch. That Carrie Underwood Sunday Night Football song is so awful. Sunday Night Football has not been the same for a long time. It just hasn't.
What isn't this Jets versus Raiders?
Yep.
Sunday Night Football? I think you're right. I think.
Yep.
Did they go away from the John Jett ripoff?
I think they did. Big Dan drops in with a comment, says, "What's up, fellas? How's it going, Big Dan?"
Hey, Big Dan.
Big Davis.
Braylon Dennis says, "Sign Jason Pierre-Paul now." LDV Tennis Conteurs, he says, "Yep, let's find some pressure." Peter Jabatak also says, "I say go for it." Chuck Osborne says, "As you put, Dave, the defense didn't hold their ground. It was an offensive showdown between the Lions and the Chargers." Just saying. Nick Burton says, "I know the Lions won, but I still want Aaron Glenn fired tonight." Thank you.
Thumbs up. Siskel and Ebert
Four
agrees.
thumbs up. 4 thumbs up.
Okay,
Facebook
Siskel
user
and
says,
Ebert
"Nice
double
win."
agrees.
That's what she
Lions
said.
Mania says, "Let's go." Nicholas Johnson says, "Motor City Mania money. I will take any and all donations as well." Lions Mania says, "Huge win." Big Dan says, "Awesome nail-biting win. AG's crappy play calling almost gave me a coronary." He pretty much did almost anybody else.
Yeah.
Elizabeth comes in and says, "Hi, guys. Defense sucked. Thank you, vets. So what is it going to take to get a consistent defense? Getting Aaron Glenn the hell out of there?" I was about to say, get Aaron Glenn the hell out of there. I don't care. Braylon Dennis says, "Sign Jason Pierre-Paul. We need a freaking pass rush for the love of God."
Pass rush for the love of God.
Braylon Dennis. Okay, where's the echo coming from this time?
Not me.
I think that's coming from Chris.
Yeah. So last week when we blitzed on 71% of the passing downs, and nobody complained about the pass rush. This week we did 0 pass rush whatsoever, and everybody's complaining about it. Would that be a defensive coordinator pissing down his leg because he's against a good team again?
Right.
Yes.
Because let's think about
better,
this.
y'all.
Yeah, that's better.
I saw Hutch get to the quarterback at least 3 times today.
Well,
yeah,
here's the
two
thing.
times it forced an incompletion.
Here's the thing. It's not only the fact that the defensive coordinator changed everything up. You got to think about this as well. Let's think about this. We went from playing the Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo, who couldn't complete a pass of more than 10 yards, to freaking Justin Herbert, who's slinging the ball into tight coverage, something that Jimmy G would not do. So you're talking about a quarterback that's much more willing to take risks when it's needed, but at the same time can make those types of plays. You're talking about a completely different offense here.
Right.
Big Dan says, "Happy B-Day to Nuggets family member." Nicholas Johnson says, "I love this." Andrew Merklinger says, "The defense made me want to drink." I'm sure. Patty Grimes says, "What's up, Smoking Jeremy?" Baba Yoop says, "AG needs to be working on the rail of deadliest catch."
Who said that?
Wow. Vonzale Carson says, "This is the Seahawks game, but we got the ball last." Facts.
Yes.
Yep.
Lion King says, "We need a defensive tackle, push a gap."
What the problem is, we had one versus the Raiders, and they made him a healthy scratch this week.
Broderick Martin. Lions Mania says, "I think we're already a playoff team, boys." We're a playoff team.
Of course, yeah.
We're a playoff team. Here's the thing, though. I said this with Jeremy earlier. He can back me up on this. We are a playoff team that can win one playoff team with this defense. Second team, we lose. That's the state of the facts, boys.
People asked about DPJ. DPJ was inactive because he had a small rib injury during the first day of practice and was limited the next 2 days. And we really didn't need him this game.
Nah.
So why risk him getting injured in a game they expected to win?
I was
Right.
about to say, because if you take a look at the statistics, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 156 receiving yards. The next closest guy was Khalif Raymond with 46. Perry Ball says, hey, David and the panel, hope you all are well today. Absolutely. Now that I'm officially settled here in Drum. Steve O'Baby says, Dave, can I ask you something? Which team of the NFL do you not want to play when the playoffs starts? Oh, good Lord. Let me think here.
Chickens.
The Seahawks are one of them. The 49ers are another. And honestly, if Dallas keeps playing the way they're playing, I don't want to play them either.
They're too inconsistent. They can't play that way all the time.
I know. I'm just simply saying when
I would rather
they're
play
on their
Dallas
A-game.
than any of those other two teams.
Patty Grimes says, where's the defense? You have been found wanting is what the defense is. Independent Aquaman says Goff has the second best QB rating against the Chargers. Perry Ball says AG needs to be fired as he does not make adjustments. This has been the case for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Lion King says, what happened to our fit? Oh, yeah, that's what you were answering, Jeremy. Pardon me.
Yep, it was Lion King.
Justin May, the rapper, says 7 wins, 2 loss, first place, still in the NFC North. That's been that way for the last 3-4 weeks.
Ever since we played the Packers, it's actually been since week 4, so 6
Nick
weeks.
Burton says, make David the defensive coordinator. No, don't make me the defensive coordinator. If you want to, make me the offensive coordinator. I understand offense better than defense. You want defensive coordinator? Put Jeremy in.
Put me in.
Patty Grimes.
Either one of us.
If we put you in DC, we'd have more penalties than anybody in the NFL.
Well, what are they going to do? Throw us all out?
They could.
Yeah.
Patty Grimes says, we can't get JPP. Him and Jama would play with fireworks together. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's mean.
Ooh.
Independent Aquaman says people in Facebook groups are claiming that GM Holmes should be fired because our defensive sucks. No, that is a fallacy of the worst kind. Brad Holmes has put more resources and more effort into fixing this defense in terms of talent and draft picks, and Aaron Glenn keeps fucking shitting on all that crap because he can't do his job effectively. That's who needs to be fired.
That's why I said what happened to the defense from the first quarter and the last game.
Buckeye in Michigan says, while the defense needs someone opposite of Hutch, we fucking won. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Barking Ducks Adventures.
Was that named Suckeye in Michigan?
I know right now U of M fans are feeling their oats, especially after all the shit that's been going on, but we're not going there. Barking Ducks Adventure says, welcome to Northern New York, David. Thank you. It has been a very crazy ride to get here. Facebook user says, we still hate the SOL referees making life hard, but we were playing above that garbage. Facts.
Amen.
LDV Tennis says, on that 75-yard rushing touchdown by Montgomery, the wrong personnel were on the field. Goff changed the play late to a run. This is what DC means when he says Goff gets the O into the right play. This is true.
Hey, and who did the big block to seal the edge to make it so Montgomery could get that touchdown?
James Williams.
He fucked that dude up. That was awesome.
Zachary Cleary says, what was Aaron Glenn smoking when he was making those play calls? That should have been fireable with cause.
Somewhere between crack, meth, and fentanyl, it's all by itself.
No, if he would have done crack, he would have made
agrees.
a better call than that.
Heath then says, speaking from where I'm at, actually got to watch the game, and yes, I almost had a heart attack. For your information, my family and I relocated to Salem, Oregon.
Go Salem.
I'm sorry. Salem's awesome, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Big Dan comes in and says, I hope Dan Campbell left AG in L.A. No, he didn't. He's probably doing him in the bathroom. LEV Tennis says, the Cowboys are fraudulent, beat up a JV team. Wasn't even a JV team. It was a middle school team was what that Giant team was.
I don't think the New York Giants could beat a state championship high school team right now.
Not a chance. Steve O'Baby says, Dave, I unsubscribed to the other sports channels. They already are popping the court, claiming that the Super Bowl's the Lions, even though the season's not over. Glad to be on your channel, Dave and Chris. Hey, glad to have you, Steve. Glad to have you.
What's up, Steve?
Also, make sure you tune in to Jeremy's. He's got a really good channel, too. Peter Jabatak says, how do you like the weather so far? It must be an adjustment coming from San Antonio. One thing, though, upstate New York and New York City are totally different worlds, but still, welcome to New York. So here's what I'm going to say. Having lived the first 20-something years of my life in Michigan, it's not that big of an adjustment. Yes, it is an adjustment from being 6 years in San Antonio, Texas, with triple-digit summers almost 8 months out of the year. But the only thing that's an adjustment right now for me that kind of sucks is getting used to not having as much sun, and it's fucking gray and depressing up here. That's the biggest adjustment. Other than that, not that big of an adjustment. But I'm just going to say this. I'm glad that I'm out of the hell of fucking San Antonio, Texas.
Give it a few weeks when you have 10 feet of snow.
I'm fine with snow. I haven't had a winter snow in fucking forever.
I know.
But I'm pretty sure I'm going to get tired of that
It was
too.
great coming from down south back at people. I stayed down there for 3 years, so I know what you mean.
Here's something to shut all the JMO people up again. He was targeted 3 times, had 3 catches and a touchdown, but one was called back to a bogus low block.
True.
Yep.
He caught everything that was thrown to him.
We wouldn't have needed that extra field goal without that call. We would have been ahead.
That's true. Lions Mania says, what was up with Cam Sutton today? My man looked clueless on his role on defense. That wasn't because of him. Again, that goes back to Aaron Glenn's fucking zone scheme.
But he did make some hellacious plays in there.
That one behind the line for that tackle where he took out the guy's legs was awesome.
Yep.
Lions Mania then says we should have traded a 3rd-round pick for Chase Young.
Who are you restructuring to put him on the team, and are you signing him to a long-term deal, handicapping the cap going forward?
I was about to say, because remember, as soon as the Bears traded for him, they gave him a 4-year, $96 million contract. Where are you going to get that money from? Because we ain't got that money right now. Next year, maybe, but we weren't going to have the money next year because we have all these other mouths we have to feed. Basil says, we all know Dan isn't going to fire AG. He's one of his best friends, but I agree he needs to go, and we also need another edge. Again, I'm just going to say this right now because we're going to be getting to this later in the episode anyway. James the Houston problem. He's
comes back within the next 3 weeks.
Exactly. He was injured in week 2, was supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks. They're probably going to start his clock here within the next week. They're probably going to give him a week or 2 to acclimate, and then he'll probably be on the field within 2 to 3 weeks. Nolan Ziegler says, will Houston be coming back be enough? Man, we couldn't tackle today.
No, not at all.
Hey, LDB Tennis, you know what? That's a shout-out to the talent we have on our defense. He said Glenn called a better game than Staley. Think about that. It doesn't take much because Brandon Staley is a defensive retard.
I've said this, and Jeremy can back me up on this. I said this earlier in this show. Freaking Josh McDaniels was the first head coach to get fired this year. Bet you money right now, Brandon Staley's going to be number 2. Bet you money.
This is high because I heard a report that came out of the offices of the Patriots that if the Patriots did not win in Germany, Bill Belichick might get left behind because that was a rumor. He never did sign his extension.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the game's
might be time for him to go.
Well, the problem is that, again, there's 2 reasons why I have a problem with Bill Belichick. Everyone wants to say that Bill Belichick is a great coach. And don't get me wrong, he is a great coach. But let's understand something here. He would not be half of the coach he is if he didn't have Tom Brady. It's been proven ever since Brady left the New England Patriots and went to Tampa Bay, the Patriots have not been the same. But yet Tom Brady went and won another Super Bowl with the floundering Buccaneers. So who was really the reason that the Patriots were that good? It wasn't Bill Belichick. It was Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady.
Hey, Chris.
Got it. But my whole point is this. The other reason is that if you take a look at it, the game is kind of passed by Bill Belichick's style of coaching. It's just kind of passed by. You think about it. More and more coaches are becoming prior players. Bill Belichick never played in the NFL. Think about it. More head coaches are becoming prior players. Dan Campbell, D'Amico Ryans. Then the list just keeps going on and on.
We also got to think his core players have retired and left. His coaching staff
Jeremy,
gets
that
picked
question's
over
for you if you want to drop that in the chat.
Which one is that?
Elizabeth Oberlin, she says, Jeremy, how do you find your channel? So I figured you could just drop the link straight in the chat so people could look for it.
Or I could share that little tidbit again because that window's still open.
I mean, if you want to really quickly, you can.
If you want to, yeah.
Don the Bandit says, here's a game where Aaron Glenn deserves criticism. He's deserved criticism in a lot more than just this game. But
this is about 4.
Here's Jeremy's new channel intro. Gotta wait for the
All right, I'm back,
browser.
fellas.
Oh, Jeremy, this is your new channel?
No, it changed channel on me.
I was about to say, I didn't know you were into gambling, Jeremy. So, sorry. This is Jeremy's new channel intro.
I just did a sample, guys. Don't need to play the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, can I piggyback off of what you were saying about new coaches? Antonio Pierce too. He's actually coaching the Las Vegas Raiders, and he's a former player as well. And he's
And
doing good.
I remember what Devontae Adams said about it. He said about his new guy that was the new head coach. He's like, I would run through a wall for that man. Wonder where we've heard that before.
Yep.
And I mean,
Oh wow.
Wait a minute, didn't Ron Rivera used to play football?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee said the same thing about Dan Campbell.
Nolan Ziegler then asked the question, so who do you promote or replace Aaron Glenn with? Do you promote from within or do you hire someone externally? If I'm doing it, I promote someone. You promote someone within first. Like you take a look at your internal candidates first. If you don't like what you have there, then you go outside. But there's a lot of good candidates inside the building to go with. You can go with the linebacker coach.
Oh, yeah, I'll go him first.
Yeah, you can go with him first. Kelvin Shepard, I think, would be an excellent replacement.
Yeah.
I think AG is actually going to be a better head coach than he ever was a defensive coordinator. He's got that thing where the players like him. That's one of the reasons why we haven't gotten rid of him over Aubrey Pleasant last year.
Somebody says John Fox. John Fox has the experience, but I don't know how long he would last because he is up there in age. He might last a season, 2, maybe 3. But I like his experience because there's virtually nothing that you could throw at him that he hasn't seen before.
Oh, yeah, get him in there while you train someone else.
Possibly, yes. But, all right, let's get off the comments here for a little bit, and let's get into our initial content as far as, topics. So, as always, we're going to start with what we usually do, and we're going to start at the top with Jeremy, go all the way down to Jay, and then we're going to work way back all the way up so that way everyone has at least a chance to answer first on whatever topic that comes up. So, here we go. Jeremy, winners for you today from the Lions' victory over the Chargers. What do you got?
The O-line. Everybody said, we got to look out for Bosa. We got to look out for Mack. What'd they do?
Nothing. 0 sacks.
All right. Secondly, I'm on Ross St. Brown.
Yep.
The man.
I mean, first and foremost, I said the running backs were going to get 200 yards in my article combined. I didn't care about the split. I didn't care who had what. I said there was going to be 200 yards combined. And guess what? They were 3 of the touchdowns.
Yep. And that was against I'm going to say this, a supposed top 10 rushing defense. Because before this game, if you went into their statistical rankings, they were ranked, I believe, number 9th in rushing yards given up. And they gave up 200 exactly on the ground today.
Well, that got altered because remember they had a Monday night game and the stats didn't get put up right away.
Right.
They were 9th in passing yards and 21st in rushing yards offensively. We were 6th and 6th. We should have won way more handedly than this.
Fair enough. All right, Chemical, what about you? Who do you think were the Lions winners today from the game against the Chargers?
Okay. We're going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
We're going to go with Monty. We're going to go with Gibbs. We're going to go with as a matter of fact, like I said, Brock Wright got a little sneaky in there too. And then as a matter of fact, the porta potty, he went on ahead and just caught what he was going to catch. So he really couldn't stop us. And the thing about it is they kept on stacking the box. And that was deadly for them because, we would pick them apart. We picked them apart.
I forgot to mention the new super back.
Oh, yes. Malcolm Rodriguez is the fullback.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Chemical. What about you, DC? Who are your winners from today's game for the Lions?
I'm going to say O-line, the running back core, and for 7 plays, the defense stopping an offense inside the 10. I don't remember when I saw that happen before. 7 plays in a row, they stopped them inside the 10.
With the refs giving them help.
Yeah. With a flag. I mean, that's the only way you stop it. 7 days of a play, 7 times is with a flag, and eventually you got to give up. But 7 times inside the 10 in a row. When has anyone seen that happen?
Exactly.
Great super chat right there, Braylon Dennis.
Thank you, Braylon Dennis, for your donation and for your super chat. He says that his winners are the offensive line, St. Brown, Montgomery, Gibbs, Jamo, Laporta, Brock Wright, and Jared effing Goff.
Let me not forget Jared Goff. That's what I forgot to add in there was Jared Goff.
Don't just say effing. It's Jared fucking Goff.
Yeah,
It ain't no effing. It's
well,
fucking Goff.
I'm gonna wait till the end to make my comment because I've got a lot to say on all of that. But Chris, what about you? Who were your winners from today's game?
I'm gonna say the offense. The whole offense did what they had to do and killed it. That's the kind of football I want to see all day, boys.
I like it. Short, simple, straight to the point. Chicken Nugget, what about you? What were your winners from today's game for the Lions?
Oh, it feels good to be a Lions fan right now. I got to get that out the way and just say that. But first and foremost, I want to say offensive line for not allowing, sacks. That was beautiful. They're winners of the game today. Jahmyr Gibbs, 2 touchdowns and have hella carries and played like an all-star today. You got to give credit where it's due to him. He's a winner today. Montgomery, he showed some flashes of the true Montgomery that we all know and love. And Jared Goff, you are one lucky guy. And I mean, man, you are terrific today. You played like a baller, definitely a stud. AG, you're just a loser at this point for one, reason why. Because
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second, Chicken Nugget. I know you want to put that in there, but we'll get to that in a second.
But overall, yeah, our offense did a hell of a job today. And J-Mo for an honorable mention. So J-Mo, you did good too.
Yep, fair enough. What about you, Jay? What are your winners from today's game for the Lions?
For me, it's going to have to be the whole offense. And then also I'm going to have to throw Ben Johnson in there because he was the mastermind behind that offense. He's the one scheming the plays and stuff. Right. That one, and then just Jared Goff because he's the one who led the team.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say. I mean, obviously, we're all mentioning the offense, and that's true. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to kind of hyper-focus it here for a moment. When you're talking about the offense in general, for me, the biggest winners are definitely the offensive line. As Jeremy said, they kept Goff clean, opened up those rushing lanes so that way we could get 200 yards rushing. So you can't forget them. Number 2, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, for crying out loud, the guy is now tied for the most 100-plus consecutive receiving yard games with A.J. Brown of the Eagles. It's like, dude, what can the guy not fucking do? He can run the ball. He can catch. He can block. Guy's an absolute all-star. Then you take a look at Jared Goff. I'm sorry, but Jared Goff was the reason that we were able to stay in that game, drive down the field, so we were close enough where Riley Patterson could kick the game-winning field goal. He kept the game running efficiently, smoothly, and the offense never sputtered out pretty much. Even in the third quarter, which we've had a hard time in the third quarter this year. We actually were consistent in the third quarter as far as making drives work. And then, obviously, Ben Johnson. Obviously, the running backs. But there's one guy that I also feel we need to mention here. Freaking Dan Campbell. 4th and 2, it's like you could potentially go for a field goal to get up a small lead. But instead, Dan Campbell decides to go for 4th and 2 right there, extend the drive so that way he can fully take the clock out. Made the right decision there. So for once, Dan Campbell understanding the situation, also understanding how much clock was on the still there, and at the same time, I was like, okay, I don't trust my defense to stop fucking the Chargers offense and Justin Herbert. I'm going to put the ball in my quarterback's hands, have him extend the drive, so that way we can win this game right now. So those are my biggest winners.
I forgot to mention one thing.
What?
Thank God we lined up at the left hash where Riley Patterson doesn't miss from.
Yep. Oh, I already know Jeremy's going to have a fun one with this one. Aria says, why did we re-sign Anzalone? This guy cannot tackle.
Oh, my God. Okay, he had one bad game, people. He's been playing the best football of his career overall this season. I can't really knock him. But this was his Annalise game. Yes, he fucked the defense on that play.
I was about to say, because that one where he was trying to go for Eckler went underneath him and behind went whoop, and Anzalone was like, wait, what the hell?
And don't forget when he was tackling Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen looked like he was covered in Annalise, and he slipped right off.
Braylon Dennis tells Jeremy, he's like, Jeremy, it won't let me type profanity in Super Chat. So I can understand that. All right. With that having been said, we have got our winners in everyone's opinion from today. Now, here comes the fun part. Jay, who would you say were the losers from today's game for the Lions? as if we had to take a guess.
Aaron motherfucking Glenn.
Hey,
Oh
G.
boy. All right, short, simple, to the point. Chicken Nugget, what about you? Who are your losers from today's game for the Lions?
Did not play, but Will Harris. Will Harris. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta throw that out there. Will Harris, Aaron Glenn. You gotta do better on defense with that. Penalties. That was the loser of the game too. Penalties. Gotta stop having those and play with less of it.
We only
We
had
had
4 penalties, Chicken
We
Nugget.
had the fewest penalties of any game this year.
We didn't have many, so we had 4. That's okay. It's okay. I'll calm that down. I'll cut that out. Cut scratch. You're right, Jeremy. Anyways, we have AG and Will Harris. That's losers of the game to me. And defense, step up, do better.
All right, fair enough. What do you got, Chris? What are your losers from today's game?
I only got one loser. That's fucking AG. He needs to go.
And
That's
I like
it.
I like the simplicity. I like the short brevity of it. What do you got? What do you got, DC? Who are your losers from today's game?
I'll also agree with AG, but it's more for his lack of adjustments because basically his system is sound, but if all you need to do if you rush with 4 people and hold and you don't get called and wait for pass interference that doesn't get called, you're going to get picked apart, so you need to adjust it. My second one is absolutely that is officiating cool. I don't know what fucking Pee Wee League they pulled them out of, but those guys were absolutely incompetent and should not be in the NFL.
I was about to say, they loved that freaking defensive pass interference on the Lions. It's like, dude, can we get a different call here?
Exactly.
Half them calls was bogus as hell.
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of it, Chemical, who are your losers?
The refs.
Go figure. All right, Jeremy, who are your losers? I'm sure you've got a literal laundry list.
Well, I'm going to start at the bottom. DraftKings, because they had us as only a 2.5 point favorite, and all the big money went to the Lions because the Lions fans were betting this week, and they lost on that. Number 2, the refs, because they couldn't make the Chargers win and keep it within the 3 points. Number 3, so they're not getting their bonuses from DraftKings and BetMGM and FanDuel.
Exactly.
All right.
And last but not least, Aaron, I cannot call a defense. I shit on myself whenever I face a good team, Glenn.
Fair enough.
Well said.
Fair enough. Here's what I'm going to say. It would be one thing to blame the whole defense or say the whole defense is a loser, but there were actually some decent guys that played on the defense. First and foremost, that insane interception by Kirby Joseph, that was absolutely spectacular, number 1. Yeah. Number 2, Jack Campbell, I think, played his best game overall as a linebacker today because he made lots of stops on the goal line. He was a tackling machine, played very, very well. And then overall, I also think that Aleem McNeil didn't get nearly as much credit in the middle of the field because, again, if you take a look at all the different Chargers running backs, not a single one of them got over 50 yards rushing, and not a single one of them got over 4 in average a rush. So I think, again, there were some bright spots on that defense. But, again, when you take a look at it, for me, the fact of the matter is that we knew this game came down to one simple thing. You had to stop Justin Herbert. And the best way to stop Justin Herbert was to either get pressure on him, which we didn't fucking do, or you had to shut down Keenan Allen, which we didn't fucking do. He had 11 receptions out of 14 targets for 175 motherfucking yards. That's horrible. Pretty much it was a one-man wrecking crew all damn day.
Yep.
So for me, it's like you can talk about the entire defense, but when you have 2 guys that are the primary things that you have to stop and you still can't stop them, that's not on the players. That is pure and simple on the lack of ability of the coaches to come up with a game plan to stop them. And we saw it all damn day because as Jeremy said it, and I've seen it myself, we did the exact same motherfucking zone defense that we did against the Chiefs, as we did against the Ravens, as we did against the fucking Seahawks, and today. And every single time we've done it, quarterbacks freaking just tear us apart because we can't run zone defense. It's a simple truth of the matter. You may not like it. You may think that I'm just dogging on Aaron Glenn for some dumbass reason, but it's like, listen, the proof is in the motherfucking pudding.
Wow.
What were they doing? What did they do in the first quarter? Because the first quarter they pretty much kind of like kept it balanced, and then they just went downhill after that.
We blitzed on third down twice.
They
got there and forced an incompletion twice in the first quarter.
They solved the
On third
defense
down.
and we didn't adjust. That was about it. It took them a quarter to figure out what we were doing, and then we didn't adjust after they figured out what we were doing.
Braylon Dennis
Yep.
says loser is Tony fucking Romo. God, he's fucking annoying. He might be annoying, but he's often right.
Yep.
Let's see here. Perry Ball says AG didn't double team Allen. That was definitely apparent. Lions Mania says the run defense was outstanding. Eckler couldn't do much against us, only at the goal line, which we stopped him at mostly as well, as DC pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
JI says not having our best cornerback, Sutton not covering their best wide receiver, Allen was nuts. There was a couple of times they put Jerry Jacobs on him.
Over half of the passes he got burnt on Jerry Jacobs.
Brent says, I think if you go back and look at the game, we will see a lot of holding on against the Chargers. Duh,
Absolutely.
they freaking tried to decapitate Hutch a couple of times.
Yep.
I mean,
That's
what
why
is
you
up
don't
with
get a
that
pass
little
rush is because they're
headlock chokehold when they go like this and they just sort of drive him to the ground. It looks like they're trying to do some sort of DDT to him.
Yep. And Big Dan comes in and says, CJGJ changed his name to CD Deuce. I think he ate one too many Big Macs with the buns and the seeds, then dropped a CD Deuce, hence his new name.
Wow.
I said he was named after the dog from Up in Smoke, the one that ate his stash.
Yeah. Independent Aquaman says Terrell Owens, Hall of Famer wide receiver, is always correct about QBs, including saying that Romo is, back when playing, seriously overrated. That's funny, considering the fact when he was in Dallas, I still remember him with the shades on in front of the Dallas thing doing the interview. He's like, that's my quarterback. That's my man. And I'm just like, interesting. All right. Let's move on to our next topic here. So we're going to go back up to Jeremy here. So here we go. The Lions had a balanced attack on the ground, and it was absolutely terrific. So here comes my question. Do you think, now that the Lions have kind of figured out how to use both Gibbs and Montgomery in tandem, that they can keep this up for the remainder of the year? What do you think?
Why the fuck not?
Well, I'm just going to say this. We also know, as Ben Johnson said earlier in the week, he said, listen, it's going to be based upon the opponents, who's got the hot end, blah, 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 blah. I'm just simply saying, when you have a game like this, you have one guy that had over 100 yards, and you had another guy that almost had 80. If you can have both of them doing that relatively well in a game, you should be able to win a lot of fucking games.
That helps you control their time of possession. The Chargers couldn't control time of possession with the run game, so they had to do it with the passing game. And when you don't get pressure in the passing game, that makes the passing game become a run game for an opponent. That's why you saw a lot of quick screen passes and crossing routes that was being hit wide open underneath, because we did that soft shell zone coverage where everybody was back 8 to 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. It was open there all day.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. What do you got, Chemical? What are your thoughts? Do you think the Lions can keep this 1-2 tandem at running back going on through the rest of the season where both of them are utilized in the games?
Absolutely, yes.
You said what?
All right. Fair
Absolutely.
enough.
I don't have
Hey.
anything more because
Hey, I love brevity. I love short, simple answers. Those are always welcome and appreciated. What do you think, DC? What are your thoughts?
Yes, but I don't want them to. I'd rather opponents be so afraid against our run that they're giving us the pass all the time. Because granted, we've already seen Montgomery going out. We don't want injuries. We want to keep the carries reasonable. We want to keep the goal line carries there. If we lean too much on most of them, the percentages are going to be injury prone, and I'd rather have the pass being open because teams want to stop our run first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. What do you think, Chris? What do you think? Do you think Gibbs and Montgomery as a number 1, number 2 tandem can keep up this production in games throughout the rest of the year?
Man, I got tears in my eyes. So beautiful. I hope that they keep it up the whole year. Because I was about to say,
Oh my God.
from a former running back and how I seen my boy, know what I'm saying, Big V. We called him Big V, but his name was Vince. He can, man, that was like a Collier dude. And then when they thought he had the ball and they'd wrap up his knees, I'll go out the outside and, man, all I had to do was just turn around and grab the ball. Instant touchdown. Oh, I love it. I'm in tears. When he scored that touchdown, I'm like, yup, that's it. That's it. So I want to keep that. And then it's still like DC say, it opens up the pass because if they know us for primarily running, they don't know when we going to pass. We just got to mix it up the way we need to. And I think Ben Johnson going to do that.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Chicken Nugget King, what do you think? Do you think the Lions 1-2 combo of Lightning and Thunder, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs can keep their production up in games over the rest of the year?
If it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it.
Wow.
Hey, I like the answer. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Right. They're Thunder and Lightning. So they better be prepared and get ready for Thunder and Lightning. They're going to bring it.
All right. Fair enough. What do you got, Jeremy?
One thing I love about this regime is that they don't do to their assistants the same thing Matt Patricia did. You remember 2017, Jim Bob Cooter, how exciting this offense was? We had those 8 comeback wins to win 9 games and just miss the playoffs. And then the next year, they say, okay, we're going to keep him as our offensive coordinator, even though we got a new coach. What does Matt Patricia tell him to do? Hey, man, you can't do that exotic stuff. I don't like it. You got to dummy down the playbook. What happens? We were shit.
Yeah, that is true.
Darren Blevel comes in. Year 1, exciting. Play actions, reverses, wide receivers throwing the football downfield to people. We just didn't have a defense. That's why we couldn't win.
Which is, again, funny considering the fact we had a defensive-minded head coach.
That's a whole different story. You know,
I know it is.
The problem with that regime is they couldn't develop Polaroid film, let alone a player.
True.
Hey, Polaroid film's complicated.
Yeah, well.
Especially
remember,
you had to dip in the lacquer.
Remember, Matt Patricia went to MIT.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Matt Patricia, Mr. Trash,
Yeah, I know.
Mr.
All right,
Ass
Jay,
Hat.
what do you think, Jay? Do you think Gibbs and Montgomery can keep up this 1-2 tandem where they produce in every single game for the rest of the year?
I think that they can, and I think that they need to keep the defensive front confused with the Montgomery and Gibbs, especially now that it feels like Ben Johnson kind of figured out how to scheme Gibbs into the plays. But then also, like, I don't want us to forget about the pass. I don't want us to go too heavy on that run, even though I do like our running back combo. But like everybody else kind of said, just mix it up, throw that pass. Don't forget that Jared Goff can throw it. We got some fast receivers, especially with Donovan People-Jones. We got some pretty quick people. Throw it up there. Light the ball up in the air, too.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to say. Do I think we can do it? Yes, I think we can. But more importantly, I think we need to, because here's the thing. When you have a combination like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, you have the guy who can definitely run over people. But the thing that Montgomery has is that he can't just also run over people. As we saw today, he has breakaway speed to where he can get those long rushing touchdown runs. But at the same time, I don't care what anyone says. Say what you want about the fact that the Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs number 12 overall. We literally saw today that guy has got the speed of a damn falcon coming out of the backfield, because he will hit a hole and he's gone. He makes people miss all over the place, no matter how close into, getting to him to tackle they are. And for me, it's like, listen, when you're going up against some of these top defenses that are out there, and we've got one more that we really got to go up against that we're going to play, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense is elite. When you start having the ability to use those guys as playmakers that can do things that other guys can't, that really allows your offense to have more opportunities and more ways to exploit a defense. So for me, I think not only can they do it, I think that they need to do it. But all right, here, let's take a look at some of these comments here, so that way we can, do what we need to do. Braylon Dennis says, abso-fucking-lutely. Utilize the F out of Gibbs and Monty. Independent Aquaman says, LOL, yeah, he would like to try to defend Romo, but would also say he's overrated. All his comments about all QBs was correct. Only QB who humbled himself and improved after 49ers QB Steve Young. Steve Young was practically at the end of his career when Owens came in, though. It'd kind of be hard to disrespect or criticize a Hall of Fame quarterback like Young from a freaking rookie wide receiver. Just saying myself. LDV Tennis says, hit that like button. Absolutely. J.I. says, if the O-line can stay healthy. Kneecap biting with Jeremy also says, smash the like button, peeps. It's free. Definitely. Shane Smith says, also sprinkle in a little bit of Craig Reynolds.
Didn't need to. Thank God.
Braylon Dennis says, Monty's 75-yard run was fucking beautiful. Keep that going. Let's see here. Independent Aquaman says, I was going to bet heavy on our team this game, but a few days ago I invested all my previous winnings, including a few tennis games, in my many games parlay, resulting in therefore losing it all.
Damn.
Don't vote on tennis.
Let's see. Chuck Osborne says, I believe that Montgomery and Gibbs can do it. Dale says, little late. Don't like a shootout with the Chargers, but we did get the win. Braylon Dennis says, Matt bum Trisha. Shane Smith says he threw some bullets today too. I think he's talking about Jared Goff.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, he threw that ball into some really tight windows today, especially that one to St. Brown in the end zone or red zone. Pardon me. Big Dan says they can keep it up. They can keep it up with Gibbs and Monte if they choose to. All depends on the game plan and opponent, in my opinion. Perry Ball says most of our O-line was drafted by Quinn, but I like her O-line coach might be the reason they're so good. Well, let's think about this.
It is.
Bob Quinn drafted Frank Ragnow. He drafted Jonah Jackson. He drafted Taylor Decker. And that was 3 out of the 5 guys. He also brought in Big V, who's now a backup.
He drafted Graham Glasgow.
Yeah, he did draft him too. And now he's the starter over Big V. The only guy that's the current starter on that line that he did not draft is Penei Sewell.
Can I address something here? Because it talks about Goff's price keeps going up. He deserves at least as much as Daniel Jones. And you're absolutely right. And with the cap going up next year, the breakdown is 18% of the salary cap. And guess what that number equals? $41.2 million, which is exactly $1.1 million more than Daniel Jones. If it's anything more than that, and there's a reason why I say 18%. Do you know 18% is the average QB salary of every winning quarterback that's ever won the Super Bowl, including John Matthew Stafford, when you take it all in and average it?
Oh, yeah. I think he might give us a break and be a champion and go for like 38 to 40 million.
I don't think he's going to give a break.
Here's what I'm going to say to this comment here by John Ellison. When I said extension by the bye week, I said it could happen. I also did say, and you guys all heard me say it, I said if it was not going to happen by the bye week, it would most likely happen in the offseason. And the reason why is because most teams wait until the offseason to conduct businesses such as contract extensions. They typically do not want to try and do it in the middle of the season, though sometimes it does happen. That's why I said if, and I said that very clearly, if the Lions extend Jared Goff, it would be at the bye week if it was in season. If not, they would wait until the offseason to take care of it because, one, they're going to have the new money for the next offseason, the next year coming up. And on top of that, they'll be like, okay, here's what we're dealing with as far as the free agency market. Here's what we're dealing with is whoever we're going to bring back or not bring back. That's why I said, could they sign him at the bye week? They could. Chances are, though, it was highly unlikely. It was just the earliest I thought they might be able to do it. That was all. I'm not saying that they were absolutely going to sign him at the bye week. I said that was the earliest chance that they would try to do it.
Right.
LEV Tennis says the Lions can run the ball against Dallas. Well, we'll certainly see soon enough. Independent Aquaman says at towards Perry Ball, our offensive line before this week was 15th best at pass blocking and 23rd best at rush blocking.
What?
And
Where the hell did that come from?
I know exactly where he gets that from. Where he's getting that from is if you go to ESPN, they have an algorithm tracker where they show pass block winning percentage rate and run block winning percentage rate. And what he's referring to is there is a chart that shows that the Lions pass block win percentage rate is at 15%. Their rush block winning percentage rate is at 23rd. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's where he's getting that information from. I've used it a couple of times myself. That's why I know that's where he's getting it from.
They probably say Disney stocks don't have a problem either.
Probably. LDD Tennis says Goff's price keeps going up. He deserves at least as much as Daniel Jones, as Jeremy was just referring to. Patty Grimes says, I thought people said Goff couldn't throw.
And Goff
They have said that.
They did. They're fucking idiots then, and they're fucking idiots now.
Yep. I'm back, fellas.
I literally went to training camp 2 years ago, and I remember when I was standing there, and I was standing on the other side of the field near the entrance to Allen Park. And I was standing just behind the goal post into the end zone. They were doing end zone drills. And I'm watching Jared Goff just fire these balls literally into the end zone. I'm like, dude, anybody who has not seen him in person, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This guy knows how to throw the fucking pigskin.
Oh, yeah.
He must be talking about DJ Shark.
Yeah. Severely overrated. I was upset at his new contract. Way overpaid.
You might Daniel Jones.
He might be. I don't know. I think that's what he's referring to. Andrew Merklinger says, ugh, yeah, I would definitely use it. Rich Forrest says, watch those faces on Chargers on sideline was fucking great every time Campbell went for it on fourth down, especially on the fourth down to Laporta. They knew as soon as it got converted, they were screwed. They weren't going to win.
Oh, you know, I heard Goff say that there was a lot of our fans there today, too. Like you, they said we're traveling.
You can say what you want, John Ellison. I did not say that they were going to extend him in the bye week. I never said that that was when they were going to extend him. I said they could extend him. You can say what you want. Braylon Dennis says, I think Khalif Raymond got extended during the season, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, he got extended before the season. I think they signed him to a new 2-year deal.
Right after the draft was done.
And nice deal that was.
LDV Tennis says, you recorded it. Isn't that stalker-like behavior? Braylon Dennis says, but Raymond is not a QB. I understand that part. Again, here's the thing, though. When you're talking about quarterbacks, you're talking about a guy that is going to take up a lot of money typically. And again, you're not usually going to do that in mid-season. Again, that's why I said it could happen. I didn't say it would definitely happen. Those words never came out of my mouth. Patty Grimes says, people keep saying Goff has noodle arms. What with that? Goff does not have a noodle arm. I've said this before. I'll say it again. If you go back to when Jared Goff was at the Combine, that very year was the same year that Josh Allen was at the Combine. He had the second fastest throw behind Josh Allen at 58 miles an hour. Josh Allen threw the ball at 60. So to say Jared Goff has a noodle arm is just plain old stupid.
Yep.
Independent Aquaman says pass defend and rush defend respectively. Okay, that's what he was referring to with the pass rush win rush rate. Perry Ball says, I think the Lions are making new fans with their play. I would agree. Again, Lions fans have been traveling very, very, very well.
Did anybody see that shot of the fans just before the game?
Oh, yeah.
It was like 3-1 versus Honolulu blue and gray versus whatever they were wearing.
True.
That's a typical
Let's also
game in
be
LA,
fair
though.
here. There's really, I'm going to say this right now. Anytime I've ever seen a game inside of SoFi Stadium, whether it's Chargers or Rams, there is never an instance where there is more of the home team fans than the away team fans. Because the last time there was a game played there, when the Steelers were there were more Steelers fans than there was the other team. So I'm just like, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of fans for the Los Angeles, whatever fans.
Well, because everyone in LA is from somewhere else.
You know what's crazy,
And
though?
everyone wants to go to LA for a vacation.
John Ellison, there is no way you can post it. You'd have to actually have a YouTube channel for that.
Check it out. I was telling somebody this last night. I've traveled around. I've been to LA and stayed in Texas, been to Philadelphia and umpteen other places around the United States. I've always ran into somebody that was from Michigan or from Detroit. Always.
Yep.
Tons of people.
Well, see, here's the thing. People want to say that the Lions are just a local brand, just in Michigan. It's like, no, they're not. I found Lions fans in Texas. I've seen Lions fans here in New York. I've seen Lions fans in tons of different states.
Yeah.
And may I might add,
as you said, we're all from Detroit, though.
Braylon Dennis says, "Where's that Charger fan lady at? She's weeping in shame."
Oh, the actress? She's funny.
Yeah, I was about to say, out here in Cheesehead land, they popping up like weeds.
Well, that's because the fucking Packers suck this year. The Packers fans are like, "Oh, well, we ain't got nothing to cheer for."
All the Packers fans are jumping. Just ask Rosie.
All right, let's move into our next topic here. So Jeremy did the last one first, so Jay will do this one first. So here we go. Jay, here's what I got for you. Monty was back for his first game this week after being out with that rib injury, obviously. So he had a very impressive game, had over 115 yards rushing. So I just wanted to ask you, how impressive, not only in this game, but for the totality of the year, has he been to you? How impressed have you been with his acquisition?
I've been very impressed with David Montgomery. I wasn't at all upset about the release of Jamal Williams for David Montgomery. I liked it. I liked the move because, as you said, he wasn't doing that great behind the Chicago line. You put him behind our line. Jamal Williams, he was good, but he was only good in the 5-yard line, like 5 and under. He was good. He was only good like in that 5-yard mark. Other than that, like David Montgomery versus Jamal Williams, that David Montgomery wins hands down every single time. So,
well, I'm just going to put this out there in other perspective as well. Think about this. Ever since Jamal Williams has left us and gone to the Saints, what the fuck has Jamal Williams done with the Saints?
Shit.
Exactly. Whereas David Montgomery came from a shitty organization behind a shitty offensive line, and he comes out here to Detroit, and he's having the best year of his entire career with us.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what
that's why I call them the Chicago Bears.
Yep. I think a lot of people say the same thing too. Chicken Nugget King, what do you think? How impressed have you been with what David Montgomery's been doing this year?
I've been very impressed. Very impressed. I like it so far. I mean, I do miss Jamal Williams, but David Montgomery has always been on money, so I like it. I'm very impressed with the fact that he's playing here.
Fair enough. I know Chris has got something to say about this being running back. How impressed have you been with David Montgomery? Whoa. I don't know what's up with Chris, but we're gonna move off him for a minute. DC, what about you, my friend? How about you? What are your thoughts on David Montgomery? How impressed have you been?
He's exceeded any expectation I had. I thought he would be solid. I didn't think he'd be elite level like he is now.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? How impressed have you been with David Montgomery so far?
David Montgomery is a bulldozer, and I love it. I love how he just runs up the field and extends the yards, and he keeps chopping his legs when he's going through the holes.
All right, fair enough. And Jeremy, now that we're to you, what about you? How impressed have you been with Montgomery so far?
I haven't been impressed because I called for it. I said this is exactly what he'd do behind a good old line. He ran behind a trash run blocking team, a team that last year everybody was dogging their O-line because Justin Fields got sacked a lot, but only 10% of his sacks came inside the pocket. And actually the Bears O-line last year were 9th in holding a pocket in the league at 2.7 seconds. It's because Justin Fields can't read a fucking defense.
Well, we saw that already this year, too. I mean, there have been plenty of replays that'll show a wide open guy. Yep. They'll show literally a backfield view where Justin Fields was previewing the field, and there'll be a guy open running right down the seam, and he completely misses him, and he just finds somebody else shorter down the field. And it's like, dude, like that's nothing. But here's the thing. Like you, Jeremy, I said this multiple times on my old channel. I was like, listen, when you take a look at what offensive line that freaking, Montgomery had to work with the Bears, that offensive line could not open up any holes for him because there was literally almost no time before he was getting hit. Because if you go to freaking Next Gen Stats and you take a look at the running stats, they have an algorithm that shows how many yards he's getting before he gets hit by the first defender. It was absolutely atrocious. It was one of the worst in the league. Wasn't
it negative 0.7?
Something like that. It was not very high. Whereas if you take a look at Jamal Williams last year, he was one of the best in the league. So I was like, okay, You then take a look at Montgomery's stats when he was with the Bears. He was still regularly getting about 900 yards rushing a year behind a shitty offensive line. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that a guy that can almost get 1,000 yards rushing a year behind a shitty offensive line is now going to come to an offensive line that's going to give him all the space in the world. Please tell me how he's not going to succeed unless he can't play due to injury. So I already knew what I was going to be getting with Montgomery, but I'm still impressed because it's like, okay, we're seeing elements of Montgomery's game that are further expanding than what I thought was going to be available. I was like, okay, Montgomery's definitely a better version of Jamal Williams, but I didn't think that he was going to be as good as what he has been so far with the breakaway speed that we saw today in particular.
He ran a faster 40 time. That told me all I needed to know.
Yep. But all right, let's take a look, see here, some of these comments. Clarkston Vaughn says Lions jerseys are popular with the LA Crips. Okay, that's nice to know. LDV Tennis says on pass plays, 33 pressure rate. On the remaining 67% of dropbacks, the QB Goff is throwing the ball on 48.6% of dropbacks in 2.5 seconds or less. That's 48.5% is Goff's contribution to pass pro. I think what he's trying to say is that because Goff is getting the ball out of his hands so quickly, it's helping the offensive line. Because as everybody knows here, if you can get the ball out of your hands faster, it means there's less likely of a chance you're going to get sacked. Brent DeWitt says, nice to know that we can win a game in spite of Aaron Glenn. That's been going on for a while now.
Yep.
Derek Strubble says, there's always been a shit ton of Lions fans in Green Bay, but now they have a reason to come out of the shadows and cheer them on. LOL.
Right, I think you meant to say green blah.
Yeah. Brent DeWitt says, Montgomery is our junkyard dog. Love the way he runs. There's no quit in him. There's literally no quit in his run style.
None whatsoever.
Yep.
Braylon Dennis says, I was screaming my fucking head off on that 75-yard run from Monty. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Chicken Nugget King is enjoying some music.
Yeah, I'm actually here. I'm here. I was just listening.
J.I. says Jamal Williams was worthless today. 4 carries for 7 yards.
He's been worthless ever since he got there.
Exactly.
Yep.
He's missed 2 games. He's hasn't done shit.
Steve O'Baby asks, Dave, are you scared of Minnesota? Because a lot of fans have been writing, Lions fans have been writing Minnesota off, and I've been saying that don't count Minnesota out. They're still a good team. Here's what I'm going to say. The only thing about I'll say this. Kevin O'Connell is doing a beautiful job with that offense with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. Absolutely brilliant job. But the weakest link of the Vikings, still to this day, is their freaking defense. And here's the thing. I know that we have not been very good with running quarterbacks. That does bother me. That does worry me a little bit. But here's the thing. That defense that the Vikings has not shown much improvement, if at all, throughout the course of the year. And let's be fair and entirely honest about this with ourselves. Take a look at some of the opponents that the Vikings have played over the last 4, 5, 6 games. It's not exactly like they're playing gangbusters. Yeah, they did have that, what was it, the one win against the
49ers.
49ers, yeah, I know that was one good one. That was a really good one. But other than that, who else have they really played that's really like a top-end, like, opponent? Yes, the win against the 49ers, I give them all kudos for that one. But it's like, listen, it's not like they're playing top-end talent week in, week out. They still have one of the weaker schedules in the NFL. Big Dan says, non-Lion statement, but this is interesting. C.J. Stroud, over 350 passing today with a touchdown and a pick and a win over the Bungles. Texans are now 5-4. Will Stroud is breaking the OSU can't produce QBs things. He's definitely putting a challenge to the theory. I'll say that.
No,
Right.
he's not.
He's
You
got
want to
2
know
games.
why? Wait. His first year starting was Ryan Day's first year as a coach. Did he develop C.J. Stroud? No, he was developed by his former NFL QB high school coach. He was fully developed when he got there. When he got a chance to start, he was already a pro-level quarterback coming in.
Let's see here. Michael Fitzpatrick says, got to give J-Mo a shout-out for his big block on Monty's run. Absolutely. LDV Tennis says, I wanted to finish with the ball. Campbell said after the game, I trusted our guys. I trusted Goff going into that situation. There's going to be a lot of time left if you kick a field goal. We'll actually talk about that here in a moment because Jeremy already knows that question. Independent Aquaman says, the Vikings are like the Lions regarding strengths and weaknesses. Differences are coaches. That's actually not that bad of an assessment. And he also says, and GMs. Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
I want to say something I said before the season. I said, if that team could be 500 at midseason because of the talent that he will coach up, Brian Flores could get this defense playing good by midseason. What happened?
I mean, I'm not saying that the defense is bad. The Vikings defense is not trash. It's not trash. But at the same time, there's only so much Brian Flores is going to do with what little talent he currently has. Because, yeah, the problem is the Vikings have held on to old talent. They've overpaid on talent. And now they're having to, so on and so forth, as you would say, trim the fat from all those bad deals that they've had over the last couple of years. It's just part of the process. LDV Tennis says, more from Dan. I like where we were at offensively. We're playing good. Goff was in a good spot, and I just felt like that was the right thing to do. Jody Salmon says, I got my Good Morning Football Jay Gibbs Angry Run shirt yesterday. Maybe Kyle will pick Monty on Tuesday. Independent Aquaman responds to LDV Tennis. He says, that was Campbell being politically correct to save his friend's ass, Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator. Well, actually, you know what? We're gonna just kind of skip to that comment, and Jeremy would be the first one up for this one. So, Jeremy, I'm gonna ask you this question because I've already kind of talked to you about it. So here we go. Lions went for it on fourth down 4 separate times out of 5 times. Well, sorry, they went for it on fourth down 5 times, converted 4 times. So they had an 80% conversion rate. So here's what I got to ask you. If by going for it on fourth down as many times as they did throughout the entire course of the game, is that Dan Campbell showing more confidence in his offense or showing a complete lack of trust in his defense? What do you think?
It's a lot of both. I mean, we're the second best offense in the league, yardage-wise. So who are you going to trust more? A bottom 10, bottom of the top 10 defense because we are that good against the run, but we can't stop the pass, even if it was a cold from Wuhan, China, and we had a mask on.
All right.
That's the God's honest truth. It's confidence in his offense and lack of confidence in his defense. Because at any time we could have took that field goal, those three fourth downs we went for in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wait to answer until towards the very end, but either way. Chemical, what do you think? Do you think that the Lions going for it on fourth down today 5 times was more showing of a confidence in the offense or a lack of trust in the defense?
It's a very typical of Dan Campbell offense. They say like last year we went for the 4th more than anybody in the NFL. I think that's just Dan Campbell's.
You just think that's his style, his motto.
That's his style for sure.
Actually, you know who's been going for it the most this year prior to this game?
I think they said it actually on the broadcast. The Chargers are being one of the most aggressive on fourth down.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah. The Chargers went for it more and completed less.
The only reason I will say this, though, the Chargers didn't go for it more today. They went 3 times. They just converted all 3 times. We converted at an 80% conversion rate. They converted 100% of the time that they did it, but they only went 3 times. But that's regardless of the point. What do you think, DC? Do you think that the Lions going for it on fourth down 5 times a day was more showing of confidence in the offense or lack of trust in the defense?
Little column A, little column B, and you also have to consider situation and field position. If they're sitting there 4th and 20 on the opponent's 30 and you go for it on 4th, that means you have absolutely zero confidence on your defense. But given the situations that they thought they could do it, and it worked out, and they did.
All right, fair enough. To answer your question, Big Dan, if I had to take a guess, we're probably going to face Justin Fields. If we're being honest, I think Justin Fields comes back against the Lions this upcoming week. I don't think it's going to be Tyson Bagent. But that's just my thoughts to answer that question. Chris, what about you? Do you think the Lions going for it on fourth down was more of a testament to the trust in the offense or a lack of trust in the defense?
I would say it was an 80-20 split. Because I'm going to say, as far as the offense, they showed that they don't have to do those desperate fourth downs that Dan Campbell has done because he can do it at any time. But 80% of the distrust in the defense, I think that's what it is, because he did the same thing with what was that kicker name that kept missing field goals?
Last year,
I was about to say you're gonna have to be a
Money
little
Badger.
bit.
Yeah. So
I'd
he
say
didn't
that,
have
Jake.
trust. Right. Yep. So he didn't have trust in him. So that's why he went with it on fourth. Now that we got a decent kicker, he's going on the fourth because of the defense.
I just still say thank God they set him up on the left hash.
Yep. Because he likes to shank his a little bit further to the right. But all right, Chicken Nugget, what about you? Do you think the Lions going for it on fourth down so many times today was more of a testament to trust in the offense or lack of trust in the defense?
Plain and simple, both.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. What about you, Jay? What do you think? Do you think going for it on fourth was more because Dan Campbell trusted the offense or because he didn't trust the defense?
I want to say it's a little bit of both, but I've noticed it's only on the games that we're struggling on defense. So I think he's going for it on fourth down to try and save his buddy and save his job, because I think he knows he has issues with the defense. He's got to know it. But I feel like he's just more doing it just to try and save his job, give him another extra thing to keep the offense moving. That way the defense won't have to go back out there.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to say. Everybody in the panel pretty much all said the same thing about it. It's pretty much, one way or the other. It's pretty much the exact same thing. Like, oh, it's partly offense, partly defense. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's more of the defense. And here's the reason why. Because think about it here. Go back to the one game where the Lions offense was like humming on all cylinders. That was the Panthers game this year. Like, the offense could not be stopped, period. If you go back to that game, we very seldom, if ever, ran on fourth down. We punted the ball away. Why? Because our defense was stopping the Panthers. Here's the thing. One thing I've noticed so far this year is that when our defense actually is going up against a team offensively that's not that good, we don't go for it on fourth down all that much. And the reason why is because, hey, the defense is actually doing its job and it's actually stopping the opposing offense. But when the game gets close, the game gets tough or tight, and we're starting to be like, okay, here, we need to find a way to extend these drives to, one, also make sure our defense gets some rest, but also, two, make sure we can stay in the game. That's when we start going for it on fourth down a lot more often. So for me, it's like, okay, I can understand why you can say it's a little bit of both because, yes, I do believe Dan Campbell has a lot of trust in said offense. I really do believe that. But when you go for it on fourth down 5 times in a game, when the opposing defense has given up 41 points, but your defense as well has given up 38 points, that there tells me one simple thing. The coach does not trust the opposing defense to keep that offense out of the end zone. Because, again, I put the stat out there earlier, and a lot of other people put it out there in terms of news articles. The Lions defense in the red zone gave up points on almost 70% of the time. Or, 65% of the time, pardon me. And the Chargers offense will score almost 70% of the time in the red zone. Pretty much for me, that tells me that Dan Campbell did not trust his defense to stop the Chargers offense. So he wanted to make sure he held on to the ball as long as possible to make sure that they could win.
That's what he said in his press conference. He said that he wanted to make sure that he had the ball last.
Exactly. So for me, it's like, listen, you can say it's a little bit of both, but for me, I think it's primarily because he did not trust that defense to stop freaking Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. Because, again, if you think about it, the Lions, I believe the entire day only had 2 stops. One was a punt, and one was that interception where freaking Kirby Joseph made that excellent toe tap interception towards the sideline. Other than that, we really couldn't stop the Chargers offense for nothing. And that to me is a problem because it's like, listen, we're halfway through the season. Plus, on top of that, you had an extra fucking week to prepare for these assholes, and you still couldn't stop them.
Yep.
So for me, it's like, listen, when you're having to go for it on fourth down this late in the season, that to me is a problem. You shouldn't have to be going for it on fourth down unless it's an absolute necessity. And when it's an absolute necessity like this, take a look at the score. You pretty much figure out why we were going for it on fourth down, because we had to keep pace because our defense couldn't stop their offense for shit. You pretty much figure out why we were going for it on fourth down. But, all right, let's take a look at some of these comments here really quickly. Trying to figure out where we were at here. Braylon Dennis says it was because of confidence in his offense. Perry Ball says Jeremy is right. Braylon Dennis also says right on Jeremy. Dale says spot on as well. Mozart25 says Glenn's lucky the offense played lights out today. This passing defense is garbage. When they play a team where the wide receivers don't drop the ball, then this defense gets exposed. That's pretty true. Brent DeWitt says that last 4th and 2 also showed how much trust Goff has in Laporta. Big catch by the rookie. That's true.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Strubble says we had a pretty good red zone offense and defense last year. What the hell happened? Again, I say it over and over and over again. The defense has just not been able to recapture anything of what it had last year over those last 10 games. And again, I have pointed this out multiple times. The last 10 games last year were not that good. They were just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Donner says Aaron Glenn's D will doom us in the playoffs. Facts. Big Dan, that was his question from earlier. Independent Aquaman says Chargers defense sucks, so maybe that's why. That is partially, I think, part of the reason, but at the same time, I guarantee you this. It goes back to what Bill Belichick used to say when he played Peyton Manning. He did not want to give the ball back to Peyton Manning when the game was close.
Mm-hmm.
Triple Z Lion says Lions defense played decent. The screen pass hurt us like our screen passes hurt others. It was more than that, dude. I mean, you go back to that game, Keenan Allen almost had 200 receiving yards. That was not because of screen passes.
No, it was not. He was there getting deep passes. And he was
Big Dan says the Lions going for it on 4th as much as they did. That was just Dan Campbell showing off his big balls. I'm sure in some aspects you're probably true about that. Mike Mile Marker 301 says tonight is a happy dance. A win is a win is a win. Again, I agree with you. A win is a win. But at the same time, the fact that this game was as close as it was, that does not make me comfortable.
We got to play better.
Yes, we do. Shane Smith says, I'm happy Ravens fans been talking so much shit to us that we suck and they rolled us. Then they got beat by the Browns today. That was kind of sweet.
That was very sweet.
Yep.
Pie Man 25. Yes, it was. It was. Pie Man 25 says Dan Campbell's balls are big, but honestly, I disagree. Aaron Glenn is fine. All those 4th downs were 2 yards or less. Statistics say go for it. Pin them at the 1, which got us the ball at the 40. Aaron Glenn is not fine. I'm sorry. There is no way. There is no way you could convince me of that.
He's inconsistent.
He's been inconsistent since day one. The only thing he's been consistent at is being inconsistent.
Yeah.
He only calls a good defense against bad teams and bad QBs.
Yes. And that's been proven multiple times this year. Because think about it. Every time the defenses look good, Green Bay Packers and freaking Jordan Love, not really a good QB, still trying to figure out how to play the position. Raiders, Jimmy G. Let's think about that one.
Mid.
Carolina Panthers, freaking rookie quarterback. Let's think about that one. But, wait a minute here. When we play against good teams, good QPs like, that's right, Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and Los Angeles Chargers, and Justin Herbert, we get freaking decimated.
And the only reason we beat the Chiefs is their wide receivers couldn't catch a cold.
Yep, and because freaking Travis Kelce wasn't in the game. Or Chris Jones. Dale says Brian Branch looked like he's lost. He's a rookie, man. He's not going to be perfect every time. He's looked pretty good so far, all things considered.
Actually, he helped a lot more in the run game today than anything.
Yep.
He was setting the edge, and he was playing the nickel. But when their tight end isn't going out into coverage, yeah, because of his wide receivers dropping balls.
Either way, the point of the matter is, let's just call this for what it is. You have 2 weeks to prepare for this offense. You know that this offense is primarily going to throw the ball all over the field because you can't really run because of Justin Herbert's hand. The broadcaster said it the whole damn time. Because of that broken finger, you can't really go under center. So everything's out of the gun. You can't really run a whole lot out of the gun because it's pretty much one directional. So you know they're going to throw the ball over you. And that's exactly what they motherfucking did. So it's like, you know what's going to happen. You have 2 weeks to prepare for it. So if you have 2 weeks to prepare for it, you know exactly what they're going to do. I would think I would see a much better outcome on defense than what I saw today.
Agreed.
Dom the Bandit says, someone told me Glenn's defense was a top 5 defense. Top 5 and maybe sucking, maybe.
Yeah, that was a lie.
Kind of like a Maury moment. The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Maybe for 1 week.
That picture said, "Don't be hating."
Hey, for 1 week it could have been.
Maybe. Aqua Dragon 360 says, do you think that our division will go down to the games against the Vikings? It could. It really is going to depend if the Vikings can keep going, because let's think about this here for a moment. Even though the Vikings are only 1 game removed from us in terms of the win column, they're still 2 games behind us in losses. They're 6-4 to our 7-2. And honestly, if you think about it, the only other opponent that we have that I really think is going to give us fits is the Dallas Cowboys, and then the game where we go to the Vikings at their place. As far as the Vikings are concerned, they've still got a couple of decent games that they've got to go up against.
Yep.
All right, let's move into the next topic here really quickly. So Jeremy was up first last time, so now we're going to go to Chicken Nugget first. So here we go. I know some people have asked about this. The Lions got back Frank Ragnow, David Montgomery, and Jonah Jackson, but they're still missing players like, obviously, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and James Houston. How much are those two particularly missed, since we are talking about the defense quite a bit here? What do you think, Chicken Nugget?
I don't know about everybody else, but I actually miss those 2 guys. I think they are very good players and they're impact players for our defense. And when you have, Houston off on the edge, it makes things a lot easier for Hutchinson to get to the quarterback. And as for City Deuce, I think City Deuce is a ball hawk. He's the type of guy that's going to watch out for a pass every given moment, every single chance, and he's going to go after it. So when those guys get back, it's going to be a lot of trouble for opponents because they're going to be very, very missed right now. They're going to be really needed.
Well, here's the one thing I want to say about this to kind of, add on top of what you're referring to, Chicken Nugget. Here's the thing. I honestly think that, James Houston's going to be back within at least the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, as far as C.J. Gardner-Johnson, or C.D. Deuce as he now goes by, I think that we're probably not going to get him until about a month and a half out from the end of the year. So I think he's probably going to be gone for at least another month or so. So for me, it's just like, it is what it is.
Basically saying being patient. Yeah, just be patient.
That's all you can do. You have to wait for him to heal up and be ready to play. Now, I will say this. The fact that he came back to practice and did a push-up despite having a torn pectoral muscle, that was pretty impressive. But
hey, damn good impressive.
Exactly.
I was about to say, I hate to say it, but whatever Aaron Rodgers got, I hope that he be able to give it to CD Deuce.
True. Speaking of which, since you just chimed in there, Chris, what do you think? How much do you think the fact that we don't have Houston and C.J. Gardner-Johnson is? How much do you miss those guys?
It's a big impact. Basically, like Chicken Nugget said, even though Houston, the problem is not an edge position, but he definitely set that edge on the other side, being able to, get to the quarterback and stuff like that, which they gotta make a game plan to double team him, which leaves Aiden open. And then if Aiden's open, then they got to make a game plan. So it'd be hard for offenses to game plan against them. And that's what Houston has done. And CD Deuce is like, he's one of those, get it in, let's go. I'm going to talk mess, back it up. And we definitely need that. We definitely need that back so we can fire up the back half and have that seatbelt part back, so we can definitely do what we need to do in that area. And he brings that. He brings those young cornerbacks like Brian Branch and Gilmore and all of them. I mean, he brings some spice to him, and I miss that spice.
All right. What do you think, DC? What are your thoughts? How much you think Houston and Gardner Johnson are missed?
Along the same lines as what they were saying, I mean, I'm sitting there watching that Baltimore game, and I'm not saying that CJ would have made the difference. I don't think we would have gotten our asses kicked that bad if he was out there. So just that extra dose of leadership and attitude thrown into that mix. Once we get him and once we get Houston back and the rest of them going, once we get fully healthy, look the fuck out, because there ain't going to be anyone who can hit with us, talk with us, or play with us.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Chemical? How much do you miss C.J. Gardner-Johnson and, James DeProm Houston?
I miss them both because having Houston on that other side of Hutchinson, it does set the edge rush because you got a game plan for try double team one or the other. You can't do both. And as far as CD Deuce is just like he's a shutdown kind of guy. He motivates the team. He brings that type of energy that we need in that locker room, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Jeremy? What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
CJ played a game and a half and made absolutely almost zero contributions on defense. As a matter of fact, he's one of the biggest reasons why that third down play turned into a first down when he hammered down Kenneth Walker Jr. again on the sideline on a stop behind the line of scrimmage. Gave him a free 15 yards and a first down, which we scored a touchdown. Ever since Tracy Walker came back in, a former team captain, the secondary has been communicating better as a whole. Jack Campbell played awesome, Phil. He only missed one tackle all game, just like Branch.
Here's what I'm going to say.
But James Houston is the bigger problem because AG got so brilliantly stubborn with himself. He said, let's make Jack Campbell the edge and make James Houston cover Noah Fant. Yeah, and he gets his ankle broke.
Yeah, I remember watching that play too. Here's what I'm going to say. The only thing I can't say anything about C.J. Gardner-Johnson because, as Jeremy highlighted a little bit, we've only seen him for a game and a half. So right. I don't know enough. I haven't seen enough to say one thing or the other. Based upon what I've seen in his past work with the Saints and with the Eagles, I think he could be a really good contributor to the defense. But you can't really evaluate very well after a game and a half. But Here's what I do know about James Houston. If you take a look over the last half of last year, you put that guy in a pass rush specialist situation, the man fucking sacks quarterbacks. That's what he fucking does. That is his specialty. So for me, I don't have a problem necessarily with that. AG was trying to expand his role, was trying to get him to be a pass cover linebacker in a sense. What I have a problem with is that he decided to try to do it in game and waited until the very end of the freaking preseason training camp to start actually get him into that mode. It's like, listen, that is something you need to do much sooner from the beginning of the offseason rather than waiting until just before the season starts to say, oh, now we're going to start using you in pass coverage situation. It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't throw him out there to the Sharks and hope that he's going to figure out how to cover all of a sudden, especially against guys like, as Jeremy said, Noah Fant and other tight ends that are really, really freaking, a lot better than just the average Joe Schmo. So for me, it was like, okay, using James Houston as a cover linebacker when he doesn't have that much experience in it versus the fact that he is a pass rush specialist who knows how to dip, get under tackles, and get to the quarterback, that to me never made any sense. And now it's like for 2 months we've had to be without our other edge rushing specialist, which has really affected our ability to get after the quarterback because the stats speak for themselves. We've gone weeks without getting a sack, and then all of a sudden, against a bad team, we can get 5 sacks. And then against another good team, we get 0 sacks. We can't pressure the quarterback. We can't get into his face. We can't do anything really to affect him. And that's a problem because, again, the best defenses know how to get the quarterback off their game. They know how to make them uncomfortable. They know how to be opportunistic to get fumbles, to get interceptions, so on and so forth. And it's just not there.
I agree.
Again, I would like to have CJ Gardner-Johnson back for one simple thing. As Chemical said, he brings that juice, he brings that fire, he brings that leadership quality to a defense that I think also kind of needs that out on the field. Because if you think about it, the only defensive quality leadership out there that they have is Alex Anzalone. The rest of them are still pretty young. They're still trying to figure themselves out. Cameron Sutton, I guess you could also put out there as well, but I don't really see that as much from him. He's kind of more like the quiet leader. Anzalone's kind of like the central figure. But with CJ Gardner-Johnson, he is very, very vocal. Nobody is going to miss him as far as when he's on the field because he's going to make sure he is known to be out there. But that's just my opinion, to be honest. Either way, I think they're both sorely missed, and I think when we get them back, it's going to be a shot in the arm, one way or the other.
I have some good news on the we're number 2 in the NFL currently.
As far as wins, yeah.
Everything.
Overall.
Hey, I like it. Because here's the thing. If the Lions hold the number 2 seed, in theory, for the NFC the NFC playoff race, that means then we play the lowest seed in the NFC, which currently right now is the Vikings, and they would play us at our home turf. I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I'd be very okay with that. All right. Most people are saying the exact same thing. They missed them both. DC has a comment. JV Tim IG says, "Where's Cigarette Man? He's right here. He's just not smoking at the moment."
No, that sounds like a good idea, though. Might as well.
JI says, "Did Bugs play?" Yes, he did play. Thomas Donner says, "Campbell and Branch were both studs tonight." They were. They made a lot of plays. They just did it quietly.
Mm-hmm.
Perry Ball says, "Houston is a one-trick pony, but his one trick is darn good."
Amen.
Dude, think about it this way. There have been guys that have come into the NFL and they did one thing and only one thing. But they did it so well that they were able to make a career out of it. You don't have to be great at everything. If you have one thing that you're really great at, then you know what? That's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, somebody said that Justin Herbert moved really good today. He had 4 rushes for 15 yards.
That'd be kind of hard to do, seeing as how he wasn't even on the damn field.
Justin Herbert?
Oh, I thought you said, I don't know. For some reason, when I heard Herbert, my brain went to Houston. But yes, Herbert did. Herbert moved well in the pocket. He did definitely do that.
Yeah, he ran for his life against Hutch and ended up throwing that big completion.
Yeah, he was extending plays for sure.
Phil makes a good point. Phil makes a good point. No injuries today. That's nice.
That's great.
Every day.
It's always a great day when you don't have any injuries.
Good thing we play a bad team with a losing record next week, right?
And at home.
Yep. And another bad team with the losing record the week after that.
Yep.
Who do we have after the Bears?
The Packers on Thanksgiving Day.
Might be the first time in like forever we actually win a game on Thanksgiving.
Right, so we can have that good turkey leg.
Damn right.
Rich Hustle asks a good question. He's like, why does Aaron Glenn continue to play the cornerbacks off the receivers? That's leaving open slants all over the field.
Coverage.
It's the zone coverage again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then J.I. says, what's up with Charles Harris? He is who he thought he was. He's a first-round bust who had one really good year. The Lions bought fool's gold.
Well, at least we didn't pay him like we did Romeo Aquara. We paid him what he was worth. He's a mid guy that is really good at run stuffing. That is one of the reasons why our run defense is so good. It's Charles Harris and Kaminsky.
The problem with Charles Harris is that, again, he had one really good year with the Lions, and everybody thought that maybe he was going to get his career back on track. And it's like, listen, he was 28, 29 years old. Most players do not all of a sudden just become really great at that point. Some do, but not a lot. And Charles Harris is clearly not one of them. But that's whatever. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. Jeremy, you're up first. So here we go. Despite having a bye week to prepare for the Chargers, the Lions couldn't put the Chargers away practically at almost any point. So why can't Glenn get this defense to the next level, in your opinion, other than the fact that he's a stubborn asshole?
Oh, well, yeah, there is no other reason other than the fact he cannot coach against a good team. I've said it repeatedly. For 3 straight seasons, he coaches a scheme that shits the bed against good teams or mobile quarterbacks.
All right.
But granted, the rest of the team is so bad that the Bears have only been able to beat us once. The Packers have only been able to beat us once since Dan Campbell's been here.
That's true. That is true. If I recall correctly, the Packers have beat us once, the Bears have beat us once, and haven't the Vikings only beat us once too?
No, we split with them both years.
Okay.
So far.
Either way, if you think about it, we play each divisional opponent twice every year.
Right.
Which means if we've lost only a total of 4 divisional games over a total of all those years that Dan Campbell's been here, that means that we're doing pretty fucking awesome in terms of division games.
Right. So we're headed in the right direction.
Chris Styles Live says it's not the scheme. The players aren't good. Chris Styles Live says it's not the scheme. The players aren't good.
That's actually was worth hearing twice.
Dude, no. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Check yourself into rehab and stop blowing whatever you're blowing, because that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life.
Rehab are for quitters.
He made the baby laugh.
I'm sorry. You're going to say none of them are good. None of them are good. I'm sorry here. Wait a minute here. Jack Campbell was drafted in the first round, has played very good. Aiden Hutchinson was drafted in the first round, actually almost had 10 sacks his rookie year. Cameron Sutton is still one of the lowest passer rating of cornerbacks in the NFL. Brian Branch has played pretty good. I'm sorry. I'm trying to really understand how there are no good players on this defense. Because I guarantee you this right now. If we cut any of those guys that I just mentioned into the free agency pool, bank on it, they would be fucking swept up within a day.
Yeah.
They're average at best is what he's saying. Dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're a troll is what you are. You are trolling for comments.
And it looks like Davidium IG is another one.
AG, here's what I'm going to say about this. Any place that Aaron Glenn has been, even as a position coach, has never been that good. The only time he did really well was as a cornerbacks coach, a defensive backs coach with the Saints. And that was for 1 year. 1 year where he did really good at his job. Because think about it here. 2021, bottom 5 defense. 2022, bottom 5 defense. And currently right now, if you take a look at the statistics, we're about an average defense. We're right there in the middle, almost on the top 10 consideration. But again, for all the draft picks that we've sunk into this defense, for all the free agent money that we sunk in this last year, we still do not have the motherfucking results from a man that said, I want to be known as the best defensive coordinator in Lions history. Well, you've been given all the candies. You've been given all the goods that you could possibly need. Where's the motherfucking results?
You ain't did shit.
I'm sorry, but if you take a look at it, Brad Holmes has had 23 draft picks since becoming the GM of the Lions. 14 of those 23 draft picks have been to defensive players. That's not saying all of them have been starters, but when 56% of your draft picks have gone to the defense and you spent over $100 million in terms of actual cash value in the offseason last year, and you still cannot get a top 10 defense, I'm sorry. At that point, it's not about a matter of talent. It's not about a matter of pumping in resources. It's you can't do your job.
Hold on a second. They had a stat about Kirby Joseph. They were saying something about that it's like a percentage that many teams don't go in his direction because he's gonna pick the ball off.
Either way, the point of the matter is that Brad Holmes has proven that he is a good GM. He has found great talent everywhere in the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs, first-round talent. Penei Sewell, first-round talent. Amon-Ra St. Brown, fourth-round talent. Aleem McNeil, third-round talent. He's continued to find talent in every phase of the draft.
True.
So it's not about talent. It's about the fucking coaching.
And the scheme.
And scheme, whatever. The point of the matter is, I always say this about people. If it's not Aaron Glenn that's the problem, answer me this one simple question. How is it that Ben Johnson in one season could transform this offense into a top 5 offense, but yet in 3 motherfucking years, Aaron Glenn has not been able to do it with his defense? Answer me that. How can Ben Johnson do it in one season, but Aaron Glenn can't do it in 3?
Hey,
I got the answer, but I'm going to wait for my turn.
They don't got the answer.
It's called that they don't like the answer, because here's the thing. I'm going to say this right now, and it's probably going to get me some hatred for it. You want to know why people don't like it when I say it? It's because I'm white and Aaron Glenn's black.
Yep.
They think that I'm coming after him because of his race, and that's not it at all. I have nothing but respect for a lot of people in the NFL that are absolutely not my race. I love a lot of the guys that are on our team that are not my race. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell. I love all of those guys. What I want is somebody that's actually going to do their motherfucking job that they're paid to do. You're getting paid millions of dollars to do a job. Why can't you do it?
But Dave, I'm going to back you on this one. I'm black, and I don't like him whatsoever. Because I'm going to say my answer now, and y'all can agree with me or not. Basically, he want to take all the positions. Like an edge rusher, he want to make him a cornerback. A defensive end, he want to make him a cornerback. He want to make everybody a cornerback, and everybody's not a cornerback. Put them at their best position at what they do best, and you got your win. Stop making them cornerbacks and putting them in coverage, idiot.
The only ones that you really did say that's coverage that are like big players are like Anzalone and Jack Campbell. Both of those are they're perfect examples because they do cover. Those two.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah.
But that's what they specialize in. I wouldn't have put James Houston in the coverage position when he's a pass rusher.
Absolutely.
Either way, no matter what way you slice it, the point of the matter is that it's not a matter of talent. It's never been a matter of talent for the last year and a half. We have talent. We have players that can play. The problem is that Aaron Glenn, 1, does not know how to make adjustments in game. 2, he is stubborn, and he thinks that it's his way or nobody's way. And 3, nobody in that front office is going to tell him to change anything because, again, Dan Campbell's his buddy. And Dan Campbell's not going to fire him unless freaking Sheila marches right into his office, sits her happy ass down and says, fire him.
Yep.
You can say what you want, Chris Styles, that it's average talent on defense. It's not average. It's not average.
We wouldn't be 7-2 if it's just average.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's above that. It's above that.
If it was average talent, then you'd have to consider this as you really want to think it's an average talented defense. I'll show you what an average talented defense is. That's the Chargers defense. That's an average defense. You want to talk about
on paper?
Yeah. Again, the point of the matter is simply this, and he says the reason we're 7-2 is because of the offense.
No.
It's more than just the offense. It's more than just the offense.
If the defense wasn't talented, how come the only team that's rushed for more than 100 yards against us has been the Ravens? I'll wait.
True.
Yep.
Furthermore, I would ask this question as well. If the defense was only average, then how come we've only lost 2 games, and one of those games we only got spanked by? All the other games we've either won convincingly or we've barely won, but we've still won, which means the defense at some point had to do its job. The only game where we didn't really do very well defensively and won was this one. And the only game where we didn't do very well defensively and lost by a little was the Seahawks game. Otherwise, the defense has been where it needs to be. And that's not because we have just average talent. If we had average talent, we wouldn't be winning, period. Because here's the thing. You want to know how I know that's for the fact? Take a look at the Chargers. Go back to when Dan Fouts was there. Had a great offense. Was the Air Coryell offense, but they had a shit defense. Couldn't do anything. Barely were able to win games because, that's right. They could put up 48 points all day long, but yet their defense was giving up 45 points at the same time.
Yep.
What happened to Khalil Mack and
You're
Joey
not
Bosa?
listening to a fucking word we're saying. We have stopped passing games, just not against good quarterbacks because Glenn calls a piss poor scheme.
Because let me ask you this thing, Chris Styles. Let's just take a look at this. This game against the Chargers. Yeah, freaking, Justin Herbert put up 400 yards against us. 400 yards. But yet, wait a minute here. Let's go back to the game against the Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he passed for what, like 120-something yards, if that?
It was 152.7 total yards by that offense.
Exactly. So it's like, wait a minute here. You're talking about an offense in the Raiders that we shut down to under 200 yards total offense, but yet against the Chargers, we gave up over 400 passing yards too. Oh, think about this. Go to the Panthers game that we played. Shut down that offense pretty damn well too. But then you go to the Seahawks game. Couldn't stop that offense with nothing. He's not good. Which person?
He's not.
Which person? See, here's the thing, Chris. You're
None
talking.
of those teams ran over 100 yards on us, though. None of those teams ran over 100 yards on us. None of them.
The point of the matter is, Chris, what we've been saying is the same thing since the beginning. When we play against good teams and good quarterbacks, we can't stop their offenses because Aaron Glenn doesn't know how to stop them. When we play against bad teams and bad offenses, our defense suddenly looks lights fucking out. Just think about it. We stopped the Falcons 20-6. We stopped the Panthers. What was it? 42-24. We stopped the Packers 38-24. All those games, our defense looked great. We got sacks. We got turnovers. It looked good. And Chris, if we had no good pass rushers, how was it then for 2 straight weeks we had almost 20 sacks?
No good pass.
We've only got,
the fuck out
we only
of here.
have 21 sacks after week 10.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we had, 9 sacks in one game, and then like another, what was it, like another 5 or 6 in another, and then we had 5 against the Raiders.
I think it was 7 and 5. We had 12 in like 2 games.
Yeah, it's like, dude, if we had no good pass rushers, we couldn't get sacks. Period. You're literally a contradiction unto yourself, Chris.
Yeah,
and then you're wanting to say that we have no good pass rushers against anybody but just Hutch. But yet, didn't you just say that we had nothing but average talent on this defense?
Sure.
So what, is Hutch average, or is he the only good player that we got? Again, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
But if Hutch is so great, I'm going to throw this out there. Then how come Ali McNeil only has a half sack less than him at this point in the season?
And Ali McNeil is a run-stuffing defensive tackler, not a pass rusher.
Because Hutch is getting triple teamed and held by all 3.
He's getting headlocked by.
And wait a minute here. Let me also put this one out here. Alex Anzalone has how many sacks? Jack Campbell
3.
also. Yeah, and Jack Campbell also has a sack.
2.
I'm pretty yeah,
1
so
or 2.
Like, again,
Derek Barnes
we're getting
has 1.
sacks from all different players. It's not just our edge rushers. He says that Aiden Hutchinson is the exception. So he's the only good player we got on this defense.
Yeah,
So I believe Tracy Walker got like 2 sacks, don't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this guy. I don't think he understands
As a matter
football.
of fact,
I don't
think
think
Chris
he
Styles
does.
doesn't have. Chris Styles doesn't have talent.
Right before he got
Okay.
injured, he got 2 sacks.
Let's go on to the next one.
Yeah. Let's go on to the next question here because we've spent way too much time on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, we've talked enough about the fucking. We've
Piss
talked
poor
about,
defensive scheme.
Yeah, I've had enough of it. So here's this question I'd rather ask today. So, despite the defensive woes, and that's the last time I'm going to probably talk about that, the offense continues to show consistent production. Which aspect of the offense today was the most amazing to you? What do you think, Jeremy?
I think it was the run game. Say what you want. That was the 10th best rushing defense out there.
At least statistically it was. Yes, it was. And we put 200 yards on their asses. 200 yards. All right. What do you think, Chemical? What was the most impressive or most amazing aspect of the Lions offense today, in your opinion?
I'll say the run game.
All right. Fair enough. What about you, DC?
And run game and clutch catches.
All right. What do you think, Chris? No, as if I had to take a guess.
Well, I approve DC's message.
All right. What about you, Chicken Nugget? What are your thoughts?
2 words: running game.
Yeah, I'll say this. The running game, that's definitely amazing. I love the fact that this running game is so damn potent. But for me, I think overall, it's just how this is going to sound a little weird, but think about it here. I heard it several times during the broadcast for the Chargers game. And Tony Romo kept pointing it out about how this offense has multiple layers to it, if you will. Like they'll snap the ball and you think, oh, it might be a play action, or oh, it might be this, or it might be that. But then as the play continues to develop, it changes, it metamorphosizes into something else. So for me, what I like is that despite the complexity of the offense continues to flow. The offense continues to have consistency. The offense continues to do its job. So for me, the thing that I'm most impressed with this offense is that the offense is very consistent, regardless of whether it's the passing game, regardless of whether or not it's the run game. There's really a whole lot of consistency and efficiency to this offense, regardless of what's going on. And that's despite the fact that it's a very complex offense. It has a lot of motions. It has a lot of design runs that can go into, different things, whether it's a screen, play action, so on and so forth. And again, you think about it yourself. You go when Jared Goff goes up to the line, he'll call kill, 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 and he'll go to a second or third play, and the offense still does its job. So for me, I just like the fact that this offense can just do its job despite whatever circumstances it's got. And I know Jeremy wants to say something because I can see the look on his face.
So somebody said the O-line opened up the holes. That's why the running game is so effective. Our 75-yard run was almost on a broken run play because when they audibled, it was supposed to go up the gut. There was no hole. Montgomery bounced it outside, and if it wasn't for J-Mo hitting the block on the edge,
Right.
that play is stopped at a yard.
Well, to answer your question, Jeremy, the person who said that was the same person that said our defense was average.
Yeah. J-Mo knocked
that's
the
the
fuck out
same
of that
Chris.
dude.
That's the same Chris.
J-Mo laid him out.
Well, again, this goes back to the same thing that the wide receivers have said, the wide receiver coach and the offensive coordinator has said. No block, no rock. You have to go out there, and even though you're a wide receiver and your primary directive as a player is to catch passes, you have to go out and block. Okay, Chris, that was one play, but all you sometimes need is one play to win.
It was 75 yards.
Quarter today. He won the game for us, you dumbass.
Think about this, Chris. If you take away any of those touchdowns that actually counted, rather than also the fact that J-Mo had a touchdown that was given away on a very ticky-tacky penalty, we lose. That's how important one play makes. Again, what have they said for years on years? This is a game of fucking inches. Sometimes all it takes is 1 inch and you can win the game. 1 inch, 1 yard, one play, whatever the case might be. That's the game of football. So regardless if it was one play or not, makes no damn difference.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Madden, dude.
I don't have to be disrespectful, Chris. You've been disrespectful the whole damn time with your comments.
Yeah,
No talent. Jesus.
You're right. You're actually absolutely right. This game is based off inches, man. And when you get 1 inch, you go all the way for sure. You play.
Absolutely.
I mean, what was the saying that Gail Sayers said? Give me 3 feet to daylight. That's all I need.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, the point of the matter is a very simple one. This offense has done exactly what it needs to do, regardless of circumstances. And the only game where the offense really wasn't able to do anything was the Ravens. Otherwise, this offense, for the most part, has been relatively very consistent.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yep, Ravens was an off day.
Chris Stiles says that I'm not being disrespectful. He says you guys are because you guys are talking crazy.
Whatever,
Where did I
dude.
say anything crazy?
Yep.
No, we
Hey,
didn't.
I'm just the moderator here. I'm just relaying the comments.
Whatever, no talent live.
Right.
Anyway, let's move off of this topic and let's move into a different one. Anyway, so here we go. This will be the last topic for the night. Actually, no, we got two more topics. So here we go. We are halfway, through the season, obviously. So here's my question. Now that the team kind of has an idea of what they are, coaches should have a good idea of what players they have. Obviously, we're now starting to get into that point where we can start kind of looking a little forward into the offseason a little bit. So for me, it's like, who do you think that so far has played for the Lions has shown that they should continue to be around? So what I'm asking here is this. Who do you think has earned the right to continue to stay with the Lions? What do you think, Jeremy?
Out of people we need to re-sign next year, and I'm saying have to re-sign, not extend because their rookie contract goes into next season. There are only 12 players there, and for me, there's only 2 really worth re-signing.
And those are?
Graham Glasgow is one.
Okay. And the other?
And maybe Charles Harris for depth because he does do that good on run defense. This is the last year of that 2-year extension.
Yeah, true.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? Do you think that there are any players that that are on the last year of their deals or whatever that you think have earned a right to stay here with the Lions?
Yeah. I'm trying to think now that they're trying to extend Jackson, right?
They are trying to.
They said that, and then he got hurt.
Okay.
And there has been no talk of it ever since.
Oh, okay. Well, we had to see that.
I mean, at this point, I still think that Jonah Jackson deserves to get a new deal because of when he is in, it does make a difference. Because, again, if you think about it, the last 2 weeks that he wasn't in the lineup, yeah, we were still able to run the ball, but it wasn't as effectively or as explosive as when he was in and then Graham Glasgow could go to the other side. Now, granted, we did very well against the Raiders, but at the same time, I like it when Jonah Jackson is there because he is the left guard. Graham Glasgow is more preferred at the right guard position. That's just my personal opinion, though.
Right.
What do you think, DC? Do you think there's anybody on the team that has deserved to, come back to stay with the team?
I would definitely agree with Johnson and Harris, and I don't know what his contract is, but I hope we lock up Brock White because he is shown time and time again he's third tackle, and you saw today that he can be multiple times a sneaky catch out of the backfield or sneaky catch where no one expects it. So, yeah,
well, you actually make a really good.
To be extended, I would
I want to address something because everybody's saying Goff. Goff is still here next year by contract.
Yeah.
Goff still has 2 more years. So technically he's got 1 more year after this year before we'd have to re-sign him or, as the other way would go, extend him.
Right. So it can actually wait till the offseason to do anything.
But I will say this. DC makes a really good point here is that Brock Wright is kind of a little bit of an unsung hero here because think about this. That touchdown that Goff got to Brock Wright was what got us got us up to where the Chargers then had to tie us, right? Well, think about this. Go back to the Jets game last year. That game-winning touchdown was to Brock Wright, who went freaking 60 fucking yards all the way to the end zone. So for me, I think Brock Wright has proven that regardless of whatever the situation is, whether it's blocking or receiving, he can be a really good contributor to the team. Now, obviously, Sam Laporta is still going to be the starter, but Brock Wright is by no means a slouch as a backup. So
he is our number 2.
Yeah, he plays very well as a number 2.
And he plays quite often, too.
Yep. What about you, Chris? What do you think? Are there any guys that you think should stay?
Actually, I would say the other guys that got signed to us. I mean, I would let them come back, even though that CD Deuce got hurt. I think that he got a lot to prove and a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, those are the ones that I would pick. Some of the other ones, like I don't know what Montgomery's contract looking like, but we definitely need him back
We
too.
just signed Montgomery to a 3-year deal. He's not going anywhere.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Yep. Other than that, I don't know how we looking with St. Brown, but we definitely got to bring him back too.
I believe he's got
St. Brown's
one
under
more
contract.
year. Yeah, he's got one more year.
He got one more year. Oh, okay.
2024.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's fine.
Here's the list. Let's go through it. Romeo Aquara, Charles Harris, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, Big V, Josh Reynolds, Teddy Bridgewater, Will Harris, Jason Kabinda. He can get the fuck out of here because Rodrigo stepped right in and is doing better than him. I bet you he could get us 1 yard on third down. But Nate Suckfelt, you're out of here.
Yeah, get him out.
Julian Aquara, Jonah Jackson, maybe. Craig Reynolds, Justin Jackson, Shane Zylstra, who is just put on the IR. They did not medically waive him, people. Benito Jones, he can go too. Anthony Pittman, who's done nothing other than special teams, he can go. Scott Daly, who's on the IR. Khalil Dorsey. And then there's people we just picked up. Donovan People-Jones. James Houston was a 1-year futures contract. So his contract is spread out over 3 years, but it was only a 1-year deal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the list now myself, and realistically, there's a couple of guys that I definitely want to bring back. But I'll wait until what is it? Chicken Nuggets had a chance to answer. So what about you, Chicken Nugget? Who do you think should come back for the Lions?
For starters, I would go with JJ, Jonah Jackson.
Okay.
He's definitely somebody I would like to see come back. Amon St. Brown.
He's not a free agent.
He's not a free agent. Not a free agent. It's a little too early for me to say, man. To be honest with you, it's a little too early for me. But I would rather see JJ come back.
Here's what I'm going to say. Just looking at this list that I'm seeing on Over the Cap, here are the people that I for sure definitely want to come back. Josh Reynolds is one of them.
Yep.
Josh Reynolds definitely needs to come back. That's number one. Number two, I also want to see Jalen Reeves-Maybin come back because he's great on special teams and he can sometimes still make plays on defense.
Yep.
Number three, Jonah Jackson.
Yeah.
Number four, Craig Reynolds.
Yeah.
Number five, again, I know some people don't like him as a kicker, but I'm fine with him for right now. Riley Patterson. That way you can have competition.
I like Riley. He's consistent.
Yep. That way you can have competition with the other kicker. Brock Wright, as you know, as DC said. I would also probably want to bring back Jerry Jacobs and James Houston. Those are the other two guys that I would really, really be like, okay, we definitely need to bring them back because they've played really well for us and they do add value. The rest, it's like, you know what? If they do come back, I'd be okay with it. But if they don't, I'm not necessarily going to cry about it. So that's for me what I would say. Now, I could ask the question of who do we want gone, but I'm pretty confident we'd all say the same couple of names.
Will Harris.
You know me, yes. Will Harris. That's the first one.
Will Harris, Benito Jones, the Aquara brothers.
Julian and Romeo.
Yep, they can go. Let's see here. Nate Suckfeld can go.
Matt Nelson.
Yep. I mean, for me, the same number of guys that you would probably say for leaving are pretty much going to be the same across the board because they're just really a whole bunch of guys up there that nobody really thinks does anything. But again, if I know Dan Campbell and if I know Brad Holmes, guys like freaking Matt Nelson and Will Harris will find themselves another deal and will be back here for another year or two on some like minimum veteran deal.
God help us.
All right. Here's the last question of the show here, because this is how we're going to lead into this. So obviously, as we've talked about, and Jeremy brought it up a little bit, is this. We play the Bears next week. We play the Bears, and we're going to play them at home.
James Houston is an ERFA because he's a rookie free agent.
Correct. So
he literally can't go anywhere for another 2 years.
Yep, he can only negotiate with us. But here's the thing. Getting back to CJ Garner-Johnson would also be nice to keep, but again, I don't know if he's going to want to, deal fairly with us or give us a decent, contract. Plus, on top of that, I still haven't really seen enough of him to wonder if he's worth getting another deal. And Teddy Bridgewater, again, I don't know.
He really wanted to be a starter, but nobody called him to be a starter. Is the only reason he accepted the job at Detroit.
Exactly. So here's what we're going to say here, getting to this topic about the Bears. The Lions are going to play the Bears at home this next week. And let's be fair here. I would not be at all surprised if fucking Vegas gives us like a 10-point fucking spread to beat the Bears. So what my question is this. We all expect the Lions are going to beat the Bears. There's no question on that one. But here comes my question is that if the Lions were to win but not win big, would that be an acceptable outcome to you? What do you think, Jeremy? Do they have to win big against a bad team like the Bears, or are you still fine with a win as a win against the Bears?
I'll always be fine with a win as a fan, but as a person that writes about this team and is passionate about it, I will not be okay if it's less than a 10-point win.
They got to
They got to whoop that ass.
Fair enough. What do you think, Chemical?
I'm not certain. There's nothing less than a foot in their ass.
And I know
on their
DC,
neck. Foot in their ass and on their neck.
and I'm pretty sure DC is going to probably say the exact same thing.
No, I just want us to be ahead by the murder total in Chicago that weekend, which should be
That's over the hundreds, dude.
I was about to say, Chicago is one of the worst cities in the entire U.S. in terms of murders.
And I'm saying this in downtown Baltimore.
Well,
just to put that in perspective.
I'm also from Flint, so trust me, I know that game too. Flint, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, they're all bad. They're all bad. So I'm pretty confident. Chris, what do you think? Do you think that the Lions have to win big in order for it to be an acceptable win for us fans?
Absolutely. I'm going around the field to collect kneecaps after the game, so that's what it is.
All right. What do you think, Chicken Nugget King? What are your thoughts?
Hey, you know that song from Hustle and Flow? Whoop that trick.
Here's what I'm going to say. Michael Fitzpatrick says, "Are we 9-7 after Turkey? Turkey Day is in 2 weeks."
Yeah, we can't be 9-7. The worst we could be is
7-4.
7-4.
Here's what I'm going to say. I think that the Lions will definitely handle business. I do expect that they're going to do to the Bears what we did last year where Hutchinson got that interception and we just completely destroyed the Bears 41-10. But here's what I'm also going to say is going to happen. Because think about this, folks. There's another thing about this game that's really going to be fun to watch. I want to see how fucking David Montgomery runs all over his former team's defense.
Yes, sir.
I want to see freaking David Montgomery freaking take ownership of that Bears defense and be like, oh, you thought I wasn't all that good? You let me walk away in free agency? Okay, hold my beer. I'm about to freaking kick your nuts all the way up to your throat.
Oh, he said that's the game he's looking most forward to.
Yeah.
I'm telling you this right now. Between Montgomery having a revenge tour, I also expect that this offense will practically have no opposition because once the run game gets going, play action opens, Jared Goff does his thing. And honestly, again, the biggest contention for me is going to be, can the defense actually show up and slow down either Tyson Bagent or Justin Fields at quarterback? That's going to be my question.
So you're saying we're going to somehow magically get 3 more wins in 2 weeks and still lose both these games there, Michael Fitzpatrick?
And again, here's the thing. Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Are we magically going to get 3 wins added and then lose the next 2 weeks and be 9-4?
I got to do my GFI. I left in the comment section.
Well, yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. The guy that's just like, wait, what did you say? And then all the freaking question marks just start popping up. That's one of my favorite GIFs because I'm just like, wait a minute, what the fuck did you just say? I'm just gonna say this right now. It'll be a fun game because the Lions for the next 2 weeks, they're gonna be at home. They're going to have the ability to kind of, get back to their home roots, not have to really worry about being on the road. And on top of that, I think, again, the fact that they're 2 divisional games, that's going to amp up this Lions team, because when you play division rivals, you're definitely going to be amped. You're definitely be like, okay, time to spank that ass. Time to take some revenge out. And again, if you think about it, Lions play the Bears first. Okay, you get your first divisional win against them. Then you get your chance to complete the sweep against the Packers for your second year in a row.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I think the Lions are going to have a lot of fun the next 2 weeks, especially going up against divisional rivals. But
after that, we go against the Saints right after that.
Yes, and we traveled down to them to play them.
Yeah.
So either way, I think these next 2 weeks will be a lot of fun for the Lions. I really do. But we've officially reached the end of our show. It's one of our shorter shows. It's only been 2 hours and 10 minutes, but you know what? It's the first live stream that's been back ever since I kind of went on my bye-week hiatus because I was traveling. So I think it's a good place to stop. Plus, on top of that, I still got to make content for tomorrow. Yes, Perry Ball, he is still on IR.
He's not on the IR. He's on the NFI, which is the non-football injury list. It's a totally different list than the IR. If he gets activated, it's because he's able to practice.
Which I believe they said about 2 or 3 days ago that they evaluate him at about 90%.
Yeah, they said they had the 53-man roster at practice last week. Everybody was on the field.
Javidium IG, DC is originally from downriver Detroit and works and lives in Baltimore. He's a Lions fan first. He wasn't happy that we lost to the Ravens.
Yeah, Javidium, you're a fucking moron.
I'm just going to say this right now. I've been in San Antonio, Texas for the last 6 years, but I was born and raised in Michigan. I was born in Pontiac, raised in Burton, Michigan, and I'm a Lions fan through and through no matter where in the hell in the U.S. I am. I can be in San Antonio, Texas, or I could be, as I say, in fucking upstate New York. Hell, I could be in fucking Guam and I'll still be a Lions fan through and through.
God
Exactly.
damn, Javidium, do you suck at everything you do? I mean, you're
I'm
just
not.
the worst
No.
ever.
We're not getting into this.
No.
We've already gotten into this with fucking Chris Styles. I don't want to get into this again with Javidium. It's like, listen, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, we've had a good show. And you know what? I'm going to say this right now. Jeremy, do what you always do to take us away so that way we can end on a high note.
And here, chiming in from where David is from, Burton, Michigan, I want to say, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts within here. Love y'all. Thank you for hopping in the chat. No matter whether it was great comments, okay comments, or out the door comments, we don't care.
Yep, we'll address any of it. So I just want to
feed
say,
and water your pets.
I was going to say this right now. Thank you all for tuning into the show, for the commentators. Thank you all for those that were in the panel tonight. You guys were a great You guys were a great panel, good hosts and everything. And with that being said, we'll be back next week after the Bears and Lions game. We'll have a lot of fun with that game. I guarantee you that. But until that time, I just want to say God bless. Hope you guys all enjoyed the show.